No, I'm wearing an eye mask.
Well, you better take it out quickly.
We need to go live.
We're already live. Look at that.
Okay, well.
I don't think anyone got to see it. What's up, guys? My name is Speedy. Welcome to NotSoSpeedRuns. We are here with Blades in the Dark 6 and 20. How is everyone doing tonight? We're back here. I don't remember what happened at all last week or what is going to happen next week. Well, next week I'll be at TwitchCon.
Of course,
so
you don't
be
know
here.
what's going to happen next week.
No one's going to be here next week. That's what's happening.
No, absolutely not. How is everyone doing tonight? Before I go ahead and throw things around to our cast, I want to throw a couple announcements out there. Goatchella is coming soon. That'll be in a few episodes away, and we have a really awesome Goatchella poster that you guys can have your names on. It's right there on the screen right there. Any subscribers, if you want to have your name on that Goatchella poster, absolutely just shoot me a DM on Twitch or Twitter or Discord. Discord's probably the best one. And we'll be stocking that up. If you donate $5 or more, you can have your name on there as well. And donate even more than that, you can be like a headliner or whatever the hell you want. Goatchella, man, be there. It's still half off subs, I believe, right? For some of this month, yeah. So
there's like 2 more days left, I believe. 2-3 more days.
Last chance to be on. Well, last chance to be on the headline or on a set list for Goatchella. Before for only $250. Super sweet. Also, next week we'll be off because of TwitchCon. I'll be there. Madam Gandalf will be there. VideoStoreCowboy will be there. That's maybe it. That's the whole con.
Wow.
There's gonna be 3 of us in a whole convention center. It's gonna be wild, guys.
It's gonna be the Coachella lead up.
Yes. Super exciting. But with that, let's go around and we can go over to all of our wonderful cast and ask them who they are and all the things that they want to tell us about themselves. And they can throw balls around or whatever it is that Trendane really wants to do today. So Trendane.
What?
Do you want to do the thing that I just described? I'm over here now. We're back over here. We're back to the other screen. You're just looking at nothing, Trendane.
No, I'm looking at my acoustic. Hang on. See that corner up there? There is usually a daddy long legs that sits up there in the corner. By the way, I have lots of acoustic titles. And so that's usually up there and he's not there right now. So there you go. Sorry.
Where is he?
Well,
get yourself some peppermint oil. You'll be able to.
I have some Dr. Bronner's peppermint hemp Castile soap.
It will repel them.
I love spiders. Why would I do that?
Especially those with daddy in the name.
Is there? Ooh.
Well. So, so I'm Trent Sparks, and I'm a professional voice actor, and one of the games that I'm doing a voice in, which is this one, Wit and Lore, is just up on Indiegogo right now. I do the voice of that character, which you can't see his face because I crushed the top of the shirt in my grip. Anyway, his name is Handon. If you look through my tweets, you'll see, or you just do a search for Wit and Lore, you'll find the 4K trailer where you get to hear me talking really, really deep in the hunter's prayer kind of thing. Aside from that, the various things that I finished recording my narration for Escape Pod yesterday morning, so that's off to them. I have no idea when that's going to get published. That one was very sad and fun all at the same time. And everything else that I'm working on, I can't really talk about.
Oh, you can't announce that thing that you were talking about last week that you can't announce?
No.
He didn't tell us about anything. That would be illegal.
Well, he was telling us that he could. He was waiting to announce something. So I was just clarifying whether he was going to be able to or not. So
right, I was hoping that they would get me the contracts and everything so that I could make the announcement at the con. That never happened. I still haven't received the paperwork or the permission to announce it, so I can't talk about anything. All this wonderful stuff I have coming up, and I can't talk about any of it. Madam.
Hi, my name is Madam Gandalf, and other than TwitchCon, I also have a Halloween charity scareathon this weekend. It starts tonight at midnight on UGR Gaming, and it's going to be raising money for cancer research. So you should definitely come by and check it out. I'll be live at 5 a.m. till 8 a.m. on Saturday. So consider coming by. That's Pacific Standard. So yeah, you should definitely consider coming by. Other than that, my name in this game is Ari, and she is kind of an aloof psychopath who likes to have fun. She likes to have fun, and if she stops having fun, she kind of starts to check herself out of the situation. So yeah, we'll see what happens today as we get some business done. On to you, Jeff.
Well, thank you, Madam Gandalf. That's incredibly kind. Okay. My name is Joff. You may know me as Owlbare over on Twitter. I'm not on Twitch. Let's admit it. That's just not happening. So I'm currently on Twitch, but this is my only appearance on Twitch, except for this coming Monday, where I will be doing another creative stream with Ayami. I play Grin. He's a cutter, not the way you think. It's a playbook. It's a playbook in Blades in the Dark where he has a big sword and he likes to cut people into pieces. That's what he does. He's actually incredibly good at it, and you might get to see that in this episode. Oh, it's actually, I don't play Grin. I play Jinx Codifer. I'm sorry to have confused you. Yeah, Louise.
Oh, yeah, hello. Hi. My name's Louise. Yes, I'm Accidental Legend here on Twitch. Sling here today, and I've come accidentally cosplaying as my dog Goat, and it's great. Look, it's like the best thing. I'm happy. Let's go.
I am also very happy. I love Goat. I love the cosplay. I am Speedy, and this is my channel. You can see me here most nights, and I am playing as Sky, who's the spider, not the daddy long legs, not that spider.
That's cockroach and silence.
I don't know why that was my symbol for spider. I was like,
who's really upset about his dead sister and is really emotional and trying to get her to be okay again. Yeah, I'll let Johnny take things over from here, I guess.
Wow. Thanks for that introduction.
You're welcome.
It was heartfelt.
It was emotional.
I love you, Johnny.
It seemed like there was a lot of emotion around the room tonight, in different ways.
Yeah. Wait. Everyone listen to this that Louise made.
oh yeah, we made a soundtrack for 6 and 20.
I'll let Johnny. You can do the recap and stuff while this plays.
Don't give
Okay,
us
I
any
made it.
credit.
Okay, I made it. Okay.
Okay, well, I'm gonna cue you guys for a couple of things, but okay. So last week, the results of the circumstance that happened around the Shroud, giving their big speech with Raymond Bowerstone, you guys were able to finally react to that particular situation. And it seemed that the reaction was you guys wanted to have a meeting with Raymond. And so Crit Dice Gaming, Slade, joined us for what happened to be a social score. Speedy, Jinx, do you guys want to, or sorry, Sky, Jinx, do you want to talk about where you guys thought that went and how well you think it went?
It went great. It was great.
I think he was not budging on anything, and I think as a result, it ended up being less productive than I would have liked. However, the relationship was still made, and I think we've kind of at least established that we don't think we're going to be able to make much progress with them in a peaceful way. So that's something that we've learned. do that.
So there's no peace available. That's interesting.
I mean, not for sure.
I mean.
As of that conversation, we're at least not going to be working together right now, unless they turn around and offer us a lot.
Okay. And so what was interesting about the conversation as it happens is that along with the Shroud, establishing this speech that Raymond gave and this event where Raymond feigned assassination, although you guys don't technically know that's kind of metagame, but came back and gave this rousing speech, Jinx stepped up and actually did something unbelievable. He basically took the previous episode and organized all the Scoveland underground, the refugees, just everybody causing a little bit of trouble or with frustration, and kind of organized a number of different groups, with one still being left out there, Ulf, who's currently in prison in Ironhook, but was able to basically play a William Wallace kind of moment and kind of unite the clans in a significant way. So building on that and into that conversation, I think there was a lot learned from both groups. But then more interesting stuff happened after, and we find out more about the circumstances of how Sky is going to get his sister to reach that reconciled state. And I believe we completed the progress clock last time, and now it's just a matter of actually executing on the information.
I think it's an impending clock right now.
Let me double check. I want to make sure. I'm going to jump over. I'm going to bring this over to the. You are right. It is. So the next time that you actually execute is when we actually go. So my mistake. But there was a lot learned last week in respect to that. Also, another interesting thing that came up as a part of that last week was the circumstances around Hocus's perception of the things that are going on with the spirit wardens, and his hearing of the bells, him being able to interact in a very unusual way with the Deathseeker crows. You were all witness to that, some of those interactions, and it presented an interesting perspective on what Hocus is currently dealing with, on top of the news that there are terrible things happening in Dwasha. But what's most interesting is what we learned at the end of last week's episode. Sling has been the target of a number of bounty hunters who have been coming to Duskwall from Tycheros at the behest of Loman, in the hopes that they will return her to Tycheros. Unbeknownst to Sling, Jinx was well aware of the circumstances, having seen the wanted poster and starting to track down these bounty hunters. And it was at the end of last week that we discovered that Jinx had been doing this without her knowledge until the last death was a little noisy. And now we find out that Loman is sending somebody, one of his lieutenants, from Tycheros to retrieve Sling personally. And so with that, we're going to open up on, I believe we were in downtime. And so it was Hocus and Sky that went last week. And we've got one more of Jinx. I believe we've got Ari's downtime and we've got Sling's downtime as well. So why don't we continue with Jinx's downtime with his second action? Unless you're not ready, Joff. If you're not ready, we can jump to something else.
No, I can pull something out of the air. I am for that second downtime action. Is there anything we need from Ironhook Prison? There really isn't, is there? We secured an asset.
You did secure an asset, and it's a pretty significant asset too.
We need people, if that counts.
Now, there is no outstanding clock, right?
If you look at the screen, there are a couple of outstanding clocks. There's the reconciliation one. There is.
I'm not sure
what the Seeking Red one was. Which one? Oh, sorry, that's the dwarf. The dwarf character in the and the attack from the opera house. So you could work on that clock if you want. You could even help with the reconciliation if you really want to. You could also go after the Dimmer Sister clock, which is Dimmer Child, or something that hasn't popped up yet but was left with the Scovelanders. There's always Muscles.
Oh, that is a good link. I wonder where Muscles ended up. That's what I'm going to do. I'm looking into Muscles. Where was he the last we heard? He was with the Bluecoats. Oh, no, we took him with us.
Donovan, yeah.
We took
No.
him with us.
You
No,
took
he
him with
didn't.
it, and then you deposited him. Where was it, Sky? Because you just kind of left him there.
Balance, I
Okay.
believe.
That's right.
Huh. So what was his clock for? That was literally just...
It was a healing clock
It was a healing
because he was significantly emaciated from being an Iron Hook for so long. Muscles being who he is, is an incredibly simple, individual, and so wasn't taking care of himself and was just kind of suffering at the hands of the prison guards in Iron Hook.
All right, let's do something interesting. Jinx is actually going to approach Ari because he's been hearing from the others that she has very deft healing hands, and wants to think the better of her and assumes that is what her and Sling and her and Sky have been doing when they disappear for a time, and invites Ari to come see.
There. Now it's sank. Okay, now you caught up. All right, go.
And Jinx is going to. Actually, I'll do my voice, shall I? Knocking on Ari's door. No.
Yes.
Ari, I have a favor to ask of you.
Don't we all?
Sure. I've heard from Sky that you're something of a. You have a light hand, and you've been healing some of our crew members' wounds.
Oh, such vicious rumors.
I was wondering if you would help me. I'd like to visit our Scotland friend Muscles. I know he's not doing the best, and I'd quite like to have a chat with him, but I was hoping while there that you could perhaps help tend to his wounds, change his dressings, maybe a soothing word.
For you, Jinx, I'll make an exception.
Thank you, Ari. And we hurry off to see Muscles. No.
Muscles isn't at Kellen's.
Where is Muscles?
That's what the clock now completes. What would happen to Muscles?
Oh shit, where is Muscles? I thought, okay. Okay. That's what I do instead. Kellen.
So I'm just gonna cut to the chase on this one. Nobody knows the whereabouts of Muscles right now.
He took off?
That's not clear. They just don't know what happened to him during the chaos. During the chaos of the lightning tower coming down, and subsequently all the unrest around the Skovlands. With the chaos of and the stirring of the pot of a sentiment against the Skovlands, Muscles disappeared.
Okay.
Seems like your princess is in another castle.
And I can guarantee he was not in the little peep room hidey hole thing behind the bar, because both Sling and I were in there.
Yeah.
Well, so I think that Jinx has a relationship with the proprietor of Kellen's, along with everybody who's in there, enough to have some sort of insight into what's going on.
And that's where I'm going to start, is literally asking around for Muscles. If anyone has any leads where he may have gone.
That's a name, not the body part.
That's true. What she said.
All right. So why don't we use a consort roll?
Oh crap!
Unless you've got something else that you think applies that makes more sense.
How's your consort, Ari?
It's pretty high, I think. Let me.
Hers be pretty high.
Could you turn on the charm?
Well, my sway is even better. If I could sway them to say where they are.
Let me show you consort.
Okay, so I think in Ari's case, sway would make a lot more sense because the Skovlands are not hurt people, and Kellen's is mostly filled with Skovlanders. Though,
there we go.
Perhaps
because you're because Jinx is there with her asking these questions, there's definitely going to be at least one bonus die that gets applied to that roll.
Yeah. I was going to say, I can leverage my command, and Ari can leverage her sway, and then between us, you got the whole good cop, bad cop.
Can I be bad cop?
Always.
Wow. Okay, this is getting interesting.
All right. So, keep the position as is.
Yeah. So position and effect do not apply here. And what it comes down to is you get one die, and you get initially one die for Jinx's help. I'm going to give you another one because Sling is going to want love involved in there somewhere. So I'm just going to throw you another one, and we're going to call that good.
Cool.
Is the table okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
We love each other, and it will get us through everything.
All right, go for it.
All right.
Wow. Okay, so that does complete the clock. But there's a complication that's going to come in because it wasn't a straight up 6. Also, before I forget, you guys need to beat Shroud's record. Last night they got 5 crits on the show.
What?
5. Yeah, RNG was their friend, so
I forgot to mention that part.
Yeah.
However,
All right, we're not on a good start for that.
However,
the beauty of it is I don't give a fuck. So
all right. Anyways, okay, so you start to ask around, and using your charm and your excellent command of body language and the with Jinx there kind of with you.
healing hands.
Will you stop with those hands thing? I swear to God.
No,
we're not doing hand puns tonight. We're not doing hand puns tonight.
There was a lot of that too. That's right.
You are able to find out that the disappearance wasn't insignificant. It's just so many people were distracted, and what you find out was that the Bluecoats actually came back and collected him.
Okay.
It's not clear where they took him. But I would imagine, based on everything that you're told, that you could infer from the conversation that he went back to Ironhut prison.
Yet another reason to get in there. Okay.
Because what you get is that when the sentiment started to pop up about Scovlanders being responsible, he was a known Scovlander, prisoner who. The awareness that it wasn't clear whether how he ended up outside, and that's why the Bluecoats basically collected him and took him away.
Oh, and he got rescued by Jinx Godifer.
Okay, did he?
He
from
was.
the burning.
That's right. He did get rescued by Jinx Godifer.
I'm sure he's telling that story in Ironhook.
He's a simple individual. So,
yeah.
But it's when you're having this conversation that, and you find out this information, that you realize that you're being watched by a Taikarosi individual who is not hiding their Taikarosi heritage. Very much black eyes, sharpened teeth, ears that kind of bend down a little bit, dressed in a fine suit.
And he's just outwardly staring at us as we're asking around.
He's paying attention. He's just paying attention to you as you're doing this, and when that exchange happens, he kind of leaves.
He leaves.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to follow.
Okay, so since this is still your downtime action, we're gonna kind of weave this a little bit. Into a quick narrative, and then we'll just cut to somebody else's downtime action, or we'll cut to your next downtime action after that, or
okay.
Whatever you decide to do. So when you follow him, you find that he is actually heading towards Ironhook.
Okay, I am going to. What the heck? I'm going to catch up and confront him.
All right. So as you get closer and closer to him, it's apparent that he is well aware that you're following him, and he's your instincts definitely tip you off till he's looking for a fight.
Okay, I'll point out at this point, I don't have my giant sword and my coat. I have my shirt sleeves and probably the kukris on the back of the belt, but that's about it.
Right.
Okay, well, I'm going to catch up and do the thing basically where I overtake him and then get in his path.
Well, so by the time you're able to try to, you're basically to get in front of him, you're at the bridge here, and I'll point out where you guys are, on the map. You are, so Kellen's, in my mind, is somewhere over here in Shire Hollow.
Yeah.
This is the bridge that he heads towards.
Okay.
And by that time, he gets, essentially that bridge is covered in a tunnel of some kind, as you can see kind of indicated on the map. And so it's at that moment when you're able to kind of get around him that he darts across the bridge and heads into what essentially is the electroplasmic glow of the tunnel.
I'll be following you wherever you go, so if you need any help.
Okay, in that case, Ari, just follow, but hang back. I've got a feeling this is a trap, and I love traps.
No problem, I can be a shadow when I need to be.
Yeah, and feel free to help if it, please. Do you have a blade?
I mean, one doesn't simply ask a girl if they have a blade. But yes, I do.
Good. And
were you going to bestow one to her if she didn't have a blade? Was this going to be some sort of like an arrangement of some kind?
I have a spare in my boot, just in case, wasn't armed.
Okay.
And with that, I'm just gonna, wink and a smile, and I dart into the tunnel.
So as you get in through the tunnel, you see the figure kind of running at at top speed, just kind of, running down this tunnel, and the electroplasmic glow in this tunnel is just sort of this purplish sort of weird ambient light, along with the glow from the the orangish lamps that are kind of lining it. It's all electroplasmic, but the lines connecting between the two are older technology. So they're older, Sparkrite technology, and so their shielding is not perfect. So that they kind of glow and make sizzling sounds a little bit as the energy travels through the wires, and they're big thick wires too that connect between these lights. So there's like this weird orange and then purple and then back to orange, kind of a glow to it.
Okay, how far away is he from me?
He's probably a good 50 feet and increasing because he's running. I mean, he's outright running at this point.
So to heft my kukri and throw it at him would be a little crazy.
Not at all. I mean, the question is how far do you think you can throw it?
50 feet.
Because it's so I'm imagining the kukri, that curved blade, right? That sort of
yeah. It's good for throwing. I just don't know. 50 feet sounds like it's pushing it. I don't know.
Kukri's pretty heavy on the front end. They fly well.
It would. I would expect it to fly well, given the way it's been described.
I'm literally, the kukri comes out, and I do the nice spin, and I've got it by the blade.
Okay.
And I'm gonna lob it at him.
Okay.
I don't like this. I don't like that this guy is leading me somewhere. I don't like that he's running. This is clearly a trap. I'm gonna take him down.
Okay. Before we get into the mechanics of this, how often would you have thrown the kukri before? Is this something that it's a common part of your repertoire when it comes to fighting?
Honestly, it's probably the actual kind of thing where when he can afford to damage a door frame or a door, he practices. It's exactly the kind of thing where he'll throw it at the door, walk over, yank it out, march back, repeat. It's something of a relaxation technique.
Okay. So, what are you going to roll from an action perspective?
What am I going to roll? That's a really good question.
Skirmish, finesse, prowl, or hunt probably all work.
I agree with all of those statements.
I'm gonna say skirmish then, because that's my thing. That's my jam.
That would be my finesse. This is hurling a throwing axe. This is not,
Yeah, that's fair.
a finesse thing.
Agreed. So I'm gonna say, unless anybody has, and Madame Gandalf steps up with the weapon of choice.
I'm ready.
So I'm going to say, unless anybody has any objections, that in this particular case, it makes sense that it's controlled. And here's my argument why. Number one, the way that Joff described the way that Jinx would throw stuff, like the amount of practice and effort that he would put into practicing this particular skill, on top of the fact that the guy's back is turned away from him, so he's not going to be looking to avoid that kind of a situation. He's not going to be perceiving to avoid. I can see Risky coming into it to play because the lighting may have some effect on Jinx's ability to focus and ultimately do that. So I'm going to throw it to the table and let you guys decide whether it's controlled or risky.
How many people are around, or is there anyone else?
There is nobody around right now, and it's in the night. It's in the second half of the day, kind of a thing, right? It's in the hours that are named and not the hours that are numbered. So there's not a lot of activity in this tunnel.
I'd say controlled then.
Yeah.
Ditto. Unless you got a friend nearby.
The only possible downside that I could see is, I think that it's unlikely that he would have a door frame that he could risk damaging, and a 50-foot range to that door. I mean, unless we're talking about him practicing across the length of stables at Donovan's.
Yeah, that's not something that's happened since Jinx served.
So that is a long distance to practice.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a great argument for risky. I'm inclined to agree with you, unless Jinx wants to sort of double time it and move forward before and kind of try to close the distance before he makes this throw.
Yeah, Jinx. Oh, would he though? I'm picturing him taking a knee. No, I'm going to stick to my gut. He would literally drop as the kukri comes out, and it's whizzing down the tunnel. I'm happy with it being risky.
Okay, fair enough. All right. So, from an effect perspective, I think there is a couple of things. There are a couple of places that this actually makes sense. Limited. It's a very specific, part of the body. It may slow him down. It may not necessarily cause him to stop. Up to it might kill him with great. What are you really aiming for in this particular case? And that will determine the effect.
I am aiming between his shoulder blades. I'm aiming to get this kukri sunk into his back. It would be great if I could, incapacitate him for questioning, but I don't think that's going to happen. And I think wherever this guy is leading me, it's trouble. And I'd rather take him down and then search him.
Okay.
Just extend his ass crack a little bit.
All right. So we're going to call it standard then.
Okay.
Do you want to push yourself or take a devil's bargain to add some extra additional dice? No love. Not this time, because this is a hate action.
Although I do love to throw this kukri.
No, love does not apply in this particular case.
If I took the devil's bargain, what would it be?
Okay. So previous devil's bargains that are still kind of hanging out there above your head are the fact that you and Mercy are no longer friends.
Oh, yeah.
Previously, we have talked about the fact that Mercy would oppose your organization of the Scotlanders.
Yeah.
based on the experience, but that never actually came to pass because that devil's bargain, you didn't take that one, I believe, or that was a choice. That was a choice in one of the straw polls, and we didn't actually come to pass.
Right.
So instead of going with Mercy, we're going to talk about Samandra.
Oh no.
Previously, you knew that Samandra was sent to White Crown and went to prison, or was being held there.
Yeah.
The devil's bargain is she will be convicted of crimes against the Imperium.
No. Nope.
And will be sent to Iron Hook prison.
Oh, wait.
Your face, Louise, is awesome. So yours too, Alex. You guys are like, they're totally into this.
I was ready to say no. I was ready to say no, and I think I saw the glint in Tren's eye. It would be nice to have several things going on in Ironhook at once. Yes, and also no.
Remember, we are not playing Oz, Blades in the Dark, the Oz version, Tren.
I understand that. What I'm thinking of is I can't imagine that Imperial captains would be incredibly popular in Ironhook.
No, they would not.
No, they would not. Anybody who is in the service of the Imperials would probably be.
Samandra is going to be Saman dead.
All right, let's put it up.
It's going to be a bad time.
I need majority rules. Tren sounds like he's voting no. It sounds like the girls are voting no. If you had
it's worth it.
Oh, come on.
This situation.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna say, "Oh, come on," then go with yes, dude. It sounds like you want this to happen.
I want to do it just because it's awful, and isn't that the whole point of this game?
Tragedy plus time equals comedy. Absolutely.
Well, yes, absolutely. So tragedy and failures, circumstances, consequences, those are the meat and potatoes of this game. And this crew specifically tends to excel when shit doesn't go their way. That's very true.
It's the only route we do.
So that kukri is flying down the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
If I take the Devil's Bargain, Samandra goes to Ironhook.
Thing is, do you want to take that devil's bargain for this action?
Send her to Ironhook.
Like, is this action?
Nice.
I mean, we're gonna bust her out of Ironhook anyways, right?
I'm going to punch this fucker in the face.
If she's alive.
Well, okay, so I'll tell you this. To make this a little bit more interesting, she is not going to die immediately when she gets into Ironhook. Immediately. Well, so you think about it this way. They are probably going to target her eventually, and they are probably going to torture her and make her life a living hell before. Especially if there's any Skullblenders in Ironhook prison. Not like you know of any or anything.
What if your friends torture her?
Not technically his friends yet. I mean, I am speaking of one specific faction that's currently in Ironhook.
Ulf would really, really take a shine to Samandra.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we have this contact in Ironhook, correct?
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
Okay. Would we have known whether or not the Scavs in Ironhook had heard about Jinx's commandment to chill the fuck out? We've got a plan. Just chill.
Ironhook is its own separate little world.
That wasn't my question.
So, well, I'm answering your question, but I'm clarifying the circumstances that you would find for things like that in Ironhook. So, because of the dynamics, like in any prison movie that you've ever watched or any prison TV series you've ever watched, right? There are various gangs and the various interests kind of controlling the situation. They may pay attention to what's going on in the outside world, but if it doesn't affect their day-to-day and improve their day-to-day, whatever that is, they may not actively, and may not actively listen to what's being said. So if that's a concern, we can do... Jinx can decide whether he wants to take this devil's bargain, and separately we can roll a fortune roll to find out find out whether they are paying attention to what Jinx has asked all scobs to do or not. And the reason I'm saying to make it a fortune roll is because that way it's out of my hands from a story perspective, and I can play it better as a surprise or a circumstance versus making a narrative decision right now that I'm actually not comfortable making.
Okay, my question is, have they heard of it? Not whether they're paying attention.
Yes, they would absolutely. Information would have already gotten back to the scobs in Ironhook through the grapevine, including Ulf. Okay. Ulf would have been made aware at least that the meeting was happening that Jinx had organized last week.
One way or another, I've got to go to Ironhook. It would make for some real interesting drama.
It would.
I'm taking
going is easy.
I'm taking
Getting
the
out is
devil's
not.
bargain. I'm taking the devil's bargain.
Excellent.
What is that? 3, 4?
So that is an additional. No, it's so okay. That's only 2 for you actually right now.
What?
It's only 2 for you right now specifically. It's just the mercy one, and just this one. Nothing else is applying to you right now, as far as I'm aware. If anybody else has any insight, I would love to hear about one I'm missing, but I think it's only those 2.
I don't think of anything.
I remember one.
I remember one that applies specifically to you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There was a vote, and the one that affected you won. So.
Yep.
I remember one.
All right, so you're taking that. Okay, so now, separately, in the events, you'll hear eventually that Samander has been convicted and was subsequently sent to Ironhook Prison. Now, I just want to add a bit of clarification for that, just so you know, because this is a devil's bargain. I want a little bit more insight that'll play into it from a story perspective later. That's not normal behavior for Imperial officers when they're convicted.
Yeah. Okay.
So, all right. So that's what. So your position is risky. Your effect is standard. You're adding a devil's bargain to it with 1 additional die.
And I cannot afford to take any more stress.
Okay.
So. Okay, here we go.
Roll it.
So we said it is controlled. No, we said risky.
We said risky.
We said
standard.
Risky. Standard. And what was the total dice?
Total additional dice was, I believe, 1 for the devil's bargain. Unless anybody else has any reason why he should get more than 1. This is, and Null does not apply in this situation because he's committing an act that could be conceived as hate.
I would claim it's because I'm really good with the kukri, but that's kind of covered by the fact that my skirmish is high.
Yes.
So I think that's it. So 1 bonus dice.
I mean, could the fact that he's not looking be a bonus die, or is that just in?
What do you mean not looking?
The guy's running away.
So that was getting applied in the position when I originally suggested controlled. Because I kind of want you to succeed in this, I'm going to give it to you as a bonus die.
Can I add some flavor?
Sure.
I want to attune as that kukri is coming back. I'm remembering Hocus's teaching and the exercises. I'd like to attune just to gain some clarity on his silhouette in the tunnel.
Okay.
And then as a ghost fighter, launch that blade.
All right, we're going to play that. Ooh. All right, so why don't you go ahead and reset your dice, and let's roll your attune.
Oh, no. Oh.
Let's roll your attune.
Okay.
Because you've been working with Hocus. Hocus would have taught you how to at least quickly attune if you needed to.
Okay. Rolling attune.
Situation is going to be risky, though, because any length of time that you take in not throwing the knife, you could get farther away and make the roll more difficult.
Okay.
And the effect is limited because of how focused you are on just him.
Okay.
bonus dice for love because it's a Hocus memory.
Ah,
Oh.
Yes, one for love, and then that's it.
one for love. Submit. Oh,
Okay, so it's enough for you to be able to notice, to begin to focus in and kind of notice what's going on there. But it's as you're focusing in and you get to see his presence through the shadow or through the ghost field that you notice that there are a number of other figures farther down the tunnel.
I'm going to see this through because I've already taken that devil's bargain on the throw.
Well, the devil's bargain still has not technically happened because you have not committed the throw yet.
I'm going to commit the throw.
Okay. All right. So, risky. Standard.
Risky standard.
1 bonus die for the devil's bargain. 1 bonus die for the attunement roll that you just did.
Thank you. Here it comes.
And that works. So, describe to me the kukri flying through the air and nailing him in the back.
Okay. Trying to, because I keep picturing it as some scene from an action movie, but this thing,
That's perfectly fine.
At least in Jinx's eyes, it's not living, so it doesn't give off the same aura that the living things do, and as is apparent in the ghost field. But I'd like to think that it's still leaving some kind of trail or a warping in the air as it sails towards this luminous blue shape, which is clearly dotted by other shapes waiting.
Mm-hmm.
And it just catches up to him and literally just sinks into his back, blade first. It's a good throw. It goes in him. And Jinx literally is kneeling on the floor, and he knew it would. He knew it would hit. And unfortunately, because he attuned and threw, he's now looking at all these other people.
And they're a fair bit of distance down the tunnel. But at the moment that the blade sinks into his back, he lets out a guttural yell as he falls to the ground. And the figures, the figures, as you're still attuned into the ghost field, begin to move towards you. But they're still far off. I mean, when you're looking at the map, just to give you kind of an idea, so you're really over the water still in this circumstance, right? And that's a pretty wide. Essentially, that is the river of Dolskval. That's the river that flows through, and all those little side channels, everything are actually canals and branches in the actual river itself. So this is the fast flowing river of Dolskval. But when you look at it, it's probably a good quarter of a mile across, and so he's only 50 feet in front of you.
Okay.
But those figures are a good at least 1/8 of a mile away.
How many are there?
There's a mass of them. You can't really get a good handle on it unless you spend more time focusing on them.
But it's my favorite blade.
You could probably run there and grab it and come back before they get to you. They're just getting started, and he's only 50 feet away from you.
I'm still in the shadows.
And you've still got backup. You should have brought your rifle woman.
Yeah, I should have grabbed everyone.
Definitely grab that blade.
I'm glad that I took a knee.
Grab that blade.
I'm glad I took a knee because I basically, like from a starting position, I break into a sprint.
Okay.
I literally haul ass after the fall. The guy's barely fallen, and I'm running.
Okay, so when you get to him, you find that the life is beginning to kind of bleed away from his body. He is starting to kick. He's starting to go all strange. What's interesting is that as he's dying, his eyes, those black eyes that you saw that were looking at you before he left, there is a weird purple kind of a glow coming out of them as almost like as if that spirit is escaping through the eyes.
If I'm still attuned,
yep.
Can I say I'm still attuned? Does it look
Absolutely.
any different?
His blue spirit is twinged a little bit. It's a little off. but it's not so off that it's not unusual. It's like when you look at a Takarosi, they're pretty much the same. They're just a slight difference, unless of course you're looking at Sling, who's got a little partner hanging out on her soul. But so what you're seeing is that instead of the spirit just trying to release itself in a normal fashion, as he's dying, the spectral energy is starting to drip out of his eyes, and it's starting to pool under him.
Oh no! And
so as you grab your blade and pull it out, you realize that there's a piece of like parchment in his hand, and you grab it. And what do you do? Because you can hear them start to making noise coming your direction, and there's like their footfalls are beginning to get loud.
How much time do I have before they're going to catch up?
You probably have a good 20 seconds.
I'm literally grabbing. I'm grabbing the guy by the scruff. I yank the blade out.
Okay.
And if he survives that, who are you?
He's not able to verbalize. He's in so much pain because of where you nailed him on his spine, and he's got this this parchment kind of clutched in his hand, and he's trying to struggle even as he's dying. Like he's trying to get away from you even as he's dying.
I snatch the parchment, and I'm actually going to very quickly pat him down. Anything resembling a billfold, a wallet, any other papers, anything, very quickly.
You find a billfold and some sort of paper journal.
Ooh, okay, I grab those and I cast a look down the tunnel at the guys approaching, and I haul ass back towards Ari.
Okay, so by the time that you get back to where Ari is, just outside of the tunnel, they're very close, and they look like they're going to continue chasing after the two of you.
Crap. They don't have eyes on Ari yet, right? Is she around the lip of the tunnel?
I would assume that they don't have eyes on her yet because she's well hidden.
Then
is there a way that I could maybe... Okay, like there's scenes in movies where they'll just get themselves involved in a crowd or some sort of like action with another individual, and suddenly the other people will go running past because that's not what they were expecting, then it's not what they're looking for. Is there something that we could do like that, and it would be possible that because Ari is suddenly there, they won't see it? Or recognize it?
Gift that I shared of you, that spy chick.
Yeah, exactly.
And sweeping up the grit and doing the mascara with it.
So the question I have is, how are you going to get from Jinx disappearing from the end of the tunnel to them coming outside and seeing the two of you there and making that look as nonchalant as possible?
I mean, Speedy's not wrong.
What?
In the Zoom chat.
Yeah, that's quite a way to do it.
If I had my coat, I could literally throw the coat to the side and maybe look a little different, but I think the best thing that can happen here is Ari just does her thing, and Jinx keeps running.
Well, if you do the kiss, it's definitely going to be a desperate roll of some kind.
Son of a...
Because I think it's interesting the risk that you would take.
Hey, I don't think he has to be desperate to kiss Ari. Thank you. I am offended.
I apologize for implying anything at all. I take it back.
For love.
Well, that's where love would really come in as a factor in the dice. I guarantee it.
Or lust. Whatever you want.
Or lust, yeah.
Whatever works.
Sure, fine. Whatever Ari's plan is, I'm just going to sit here in silence.
Okay.
That's how I prefer it.
Oh, God.
All right.
Okay. All right. So Ari, describe us getting into this situation between you and Jinx, kind of acting nonchalant, and then tell me how we're gonna make this happen mechanically, like what kind of action that's gonna be. But let's start with the description.
Okay, so I'm imagining that basically I will see Jinx starting to kind of run out of this tunnel, and I'm just kind of leaning against a wall. But in seeing that he is running and he's in a panic, he's been caught, I'll probably throw him against, push him against the wall, strip down the coat, and then just dive in.
There is no coat.
There's no coat? All right,
No.
then you'll be against the wall, I'll start kissing you, and they'll just run past thinking, well, there's a couple on an alley making out.
Okay.
All right. And so how are you going to make that happen from a mechanical perspective? Is that a sway? Is it a finesse? Because finesse also kind of plays into this, right?
Let's see.
Wreck.
Whatever. Oh yeah, wreck is what it really is, because you're going to wreck their minds.
She's gonna rip his shirt off, roll it up, tuck it up under her bodice to lift her breasts up just a little bit further, and then just,
I guess could it even be argued that there's a bit of study, like what the situation is?
Okay, that's a
Going
fair
on.
point.
And assessing what would be the best thing to do very quickly in this moment.
Okay, if you want to use study, that's great. If you want to use just you've got a couple of really good options. It sounds like you choose, and we'll make it happen. We'll make it make sense narratively.
Okay, I'm gonna go with sway because that is my strongest thing. But it's also logic. It's logic and deception, so that kind of makes sense for sway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that works.
Position. Well, no. I guess it would be. You want to go for desperate? Because it makes sense. I mean, it's kind of one of those situations where.
you were just saying that you take offense to that.
Yeah, but now it's her, not Jinx.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now I'm the one making the desperate.
Because he does have that.
Which
either that
would
or risky, I reckon, because.
Yeah, I think it's definitely risky. I think there's an argument for desperate. I think that you make a good argument in both cases. Maybe let's leave it up to the table and see what the table thinks as well.
I would say while Jinx was in the process of doing all of this stuff, Ari would have had time to spend what little time she had kind of studying the guys who were running towards them. As such,
That's
she's
very
in
true.
slightly more control. Not controlled control, but it's not a desperate situation for her because she has had a chance to observe the guys who are running towards them.
Plus, and I don't know if this would be like a bonus dice or apply here, but they were in an alleyway, relatively dark. They probably wouldn't have gotten a very good idea of what Jinx looks like as he's running away, back facing them. So when they come around and they see just some bloke, they're not going to immediately recognize, oh, that's definitely the man, because like we didn't really see the man. He could be anywhere.
Okay, those are all really good arguments for risky. I think that risky makes sense.
I'm going to make an argument for desperate.
Okay.
One, because we don't have enough desperate rolls and desperate equals immediate XP. Two, there's not much time. Literally running. Jinx doesn't know the plan. This isn't Jinx's plan. Jinx isn't running out of this thing to scoop up Ari and plant a big wet one on her. He's running. He doesn't know that Ari's literally going to grab him and pull him off to the side. His plan is actually just to keep running and hope that Ari has the sense to
Run too.
Just basically, move to the side. So it's kind of desperate in how Ari lands that grab. I don't know. I don't know. It's not a very good argument.
Then why did you bring her?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were using her for the unexpected, and
That's true.
Ari is incredible at the unexpected.
She really is, which again is I kind of feel like that in itself is a reason for desperate because, I mean,
the unpredictability of it all.
The dice telling the narrative. I mean, I don't know.
I would think that by now, Jinx would have learned to just, as soon as Ari is like, trust me, everything is okay, and just go with it.
In the eyes.
Yeah, I think Jinx is actually a little scared of Ari.
For good
Who isn't,
reason.
really? Who isn't?
Yeah.
Okay, so that sounds like we're going with risky then.
Okay.
All right. Effect, unless anybody has any argument, I think effect needs to be great. because it's gonna be pretty freaking brilliant if they can get away with this.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's
And it's gonna
standard.
fail horribly well horribly if it doesn't. So
I'm thinking standard because she's a whore.
He's not wrong.
No, but
And
She's
of
a
course,
great whore.
I'm joking. I'm joking. She's not a whore. She's great, but she's not a whore.
all right.
Never
Well,
tried.
so-
Never
I'm the
tried.
first one to admit that she's a whore.
Okay, so we're
Oh,
talking.
sorry, ex-whore. Ex-whore. Yes.
All right, so we're saying standard or we're saying great?
Saying great.
Okay, I just want to make sure because okay, all right. So risky situation or risky position, great effect, bonus die, 1 for love immediately because this is an act of love. What else?
They didn't see him in the tunnel properly to really know.
True.
You were absolutely right.
Ari is very proficient in this thing.
That's all in your role. So I think that Sway is. I think you're perfect
What
for that.
Trent said about her having time to be like, this is my plan. This is going to go great. The bonus.
Okay, fair enough.
I think that's all we need.
I think that's all you need. But I
Yeah.
agree. So that sounds like it's 3 bonus die. Because we want this to work, don't we?
Four. It's a very romantic location.
Yes.
Yeah, those alleyway.
Hey, industrial.
Hey.
Well, actually, this is by the canal, right?
Yeah.
So that's
They've got
actually
a
considered a
lovely
romantic
Venice.
situation.
It's
Horrible,
basically Venice.
haunted.
It's
ghost
basically
thing.
Venice.
They've gone
It is
to Venice.
essentially
The
Venice.
city of love.
I'd say that's a 4th bonus size. What a romantic evening. Gosh, how lovely. And
And
who
I
are
guess
these men to disturb such a romantic night? I mean, have they no heart?
Do you
Johnny?
mind?
Have they
Do
no
you
heart?
mind?
Are you going to sit there
Man,
and tell me that these men,
this is the hour of tongues, isn't it?
men
Oh my
will
God.
disturb such a lovely couple on a lovely night by the canal? Have they no heart? Johnny, tell me this now.
I think I have my argument if this goes wrong right there.
Okay, well, let's just go with 3 bonus dice and roll it because I'm very curious to see where this happens. Unless, of course, you want to push yourself or take a devil's bargain. Oh, too late. Wow, with all that dice, you still only rolled a 5. That's kind of frustrating, but
There were
do
2 5s.
you do succeed though. So they come running out of the tunnel, and they
I always
immediately
do.
start to disperse as they're kind of looking in different directions. They don't see you at first because the way that you two have like positioned yourself near the canal, the side of the canal, and with how uncomfortable people get from public displays of affection, they don't immediately engage, and they kind of look at you for a second as the other ones are just started coming off. So there's 1 or 2 that are just kind of looking at you, and one of them kind of walks up, even gets in closer, and really just kind of starts to leer.
Ari's going to let off a convincing moan.
I'm really glad you went with that noun.
So with that moan, the guy's grin gets even bigger, and he starts to reach in to grab for you.
no.
Now I wish you'd gone with the other noun.
Oh crap!
That's closer to the
All
other
right.
noun.
Can I whip my blade out at his throat before he gets anywhere close? If is he the only one?
Absolutely, because he's kind of reaching out, but he's being a little lecherous and stuff, and he's leering at you. And his other friend is kind of looking and just kind of looking around as the rest of them are starting to disperse.
So he's pretty much alone at this moment, right?
He's mostly alone. He's about 10 feet from any support.
We're right next to the canal.
You are.
Oh, I just want to. What do you want to do, Alex?
Oh.
Stab him? Or throw him? Or train him?
Both?
Both is good.
Both
Yeah.
is good.
Yeah, you get the blade in, and then I'll just grab him and like, whee!
There we go.
That's
All
what
right.
we're doing.
So you're grabbing him.
Or we could just grab and throw him in the river and say, like, how dare he disturb our date and walk away. That way, no death, no, like...
What a hooligan.
With your roll, and as much effort as you put into the description and everything else, I'll let you get away with that and just being able to walk away as his friend kind of just fishes him out of the drink.
Oh,
That's what you want to do.
That's
It's
what we
like
do.
disturbing our date and saunter off.
Okay, so he goes flying, and you hear a yell, and a couple of them turn around, and his friend goes, "No, it's okay. He's Joff is a jerk. We're just going to say his name was Joff."
He punches.
I love you,
kids,
Joff. I love you, Joff.
Such
No,
a
but
common name.
well, in Dual Skull it is. But you're not Joff. You're Jinx.
Right.
So let's get that. No, but so the friend just kind of mumbles, something to the effect of that. This it's normal, and that he screwed up, and that it's his own fault, right? And that's not unexpected. But it's as you're walking away that you realize that group are not. They're not wearing any uniforms. They're not blue coats. They're not prison soldiers. They're not prisoners or prison guards. They're not Imperial soldiers. They all look like a group of ruffians.
Do they all look Taikarosi, or is it just it's a?
No, they do not look Taikarosi.
Okay.
It's when as you're kind of walking away that you see a lot of them are wearing outfits that are very much like they work on the docks for the most part.
Okay.
If you'd like to, as you're walking away, make some sort of a fortune roll or something, or some sort of other, I'll give you some insight into actually who they are.
How's your study, Ari?
That's what I was.
My study is pretty good. I've got 2 in my study.
Why don't you study them?
Okay, and I'm guessing there's no input things.
Yeah,
or
we're just gonna call it, the standard everything. It's just a straight up roll about how much you actually know.
Seven.
Okay, so you don't get a clear indication of exactly who they work for, but they're you notice that a couple of them are carrying hatchets and billy hooks. And that a couple of the other ones are carrying, some rudimentary weapons that look like they worked on Leviathan hunter ships.
Okay.
So,
as we walk away, then Ari's going to smirk at Jinx and just say, like, we should do this again sometime.
Uh-huh.
and we're gonna cut and say that's your second downtime action, Joff. Do you want to push yourself, or do you want to take any rep or coin and do another one?
Oh no, I think I'm good.
Okay, don't worry. Your other testicle will ascend again later.
All right, Ari. I think since you spent so much time with him, let's go ahead and have you do your 2 downtime actions. What would you like your first downtime action to be?
Reduce heat.
Okay, sounds great.
Oh boy.
It worked too well, but that's genuinely what I was going to do.
We actually only have 1 heat right now because we crit the last time we tried to.
You did.
Oh, that's
you
right.
Did.
We still have a 1 level, then, don't we?
Yeah, but that can't be reduced with.
Oh, well, somebody's supposed to be going to jail soon, as if I remember the plan correctly. So that will reduce your wanted level.
Okay, well, instead then, what are some of the clocks that we still got going at the moment?
Yeah, let me jump you over to the clocks, and you can see what's going on. So Who Wants Sling is gone. The Valen inquiry doesn't really make sense anymore. Hey, Trendane, do you think we should eliminate that? Or do you think that there's a reason that we should bring it back, or you should be able to play with it later, like in some way?
I mean, the only thing that Hocus would just, not really a spoiler, but foreshadowing, the only other thing that Hocus would look into relative to this, in a sense, would be 26. That would be the next thing that he would start working on along anything close to the same lines, would be that.
Well, wasn't Speedy, or sorry, wasn't Sky also told that Valen was where he needed to go in respect to taking care of whatever's going on with Sling?
Yeah.
Because
I think-
the willowy woman told you that, I think.
Yes. That I don't know if that counts as seeking red then, or if it would be another clock entirely.
Well, so he told you to engage Valen about Sling's condition specifically, because at that point Sling was still fully possessed by Esther.
Right.
Now she's halfway possessed by Goat.
Fully possessed.
Then yeah, I'd say get rid of it.
Okay. All right. Great. So those are your clocks as of this point. The Seeking Red one is specifically tied to the.
Red sashes or
No, that's that
red
is to the dwarf and the willowy woman and the essentially the faction that they're tied to. The reconciliation is tied directly to actually the muscle mass is gone because that's just been completed. The reconciliation is tied directly to Sky's sister's character, or Sky's sister's situation, and the Dimmer Child is something that dates back all the way to season 1, first episode, that Sky has never completed.
because the problem is reconciliation. I don't know what help Ari would really be
Right.
in that. Seeking Red, I guess she could put some feelers out there.
So the last information that you guys had about for this clock was that the humans, for lack of a better description, the individuals that were fighting for the Red Dwarf and the Willowy Woman, they have been spotted in Barrow Cleft. And interesting things about Barrow Cleft are it's one of the few places where crime is not prevalent in Duskfall. They tend to take care of themselves. It's a very much a farming community for the most part. They treat themselves as a pretty much a tight-knit community, and it would be unusual for normal what we would expect to find normally anywhere else in Duskfall. So there was a definite lead there that led you to believe that they're there in Barrowcleft for whatever reason.
Narratively speaking,
yes,
I think that not only for Ari's ability, Ghost Voice, but also for her ability to leverage that ability with Lyra to talk to her and teach her to communicate to her probably better than some other, because she's also a woman.
Right.
That it's more about, that the moments of your life rather than the moments of your death. And I think Ari could, if she wanted to help with the reconciliation, that
That's
Ghost
true.
Voice would be the thing to use to leverage for that.
That, and she has been getting closer to Sky.
very
So
much so.
there's that bond of like Sky, Ghost Voice woman. Here's how
Okay.
the commutes. Yeah,
All right. So do you want to complete that? You want to complete reconciliation for him?
sure. Let's help Sky out.
Okay. So we're going to call that complete. And now, so meta game wise, you've been made, you've been a part of the whole conversation where it's all been about the now versus the then, or what, the things that made the person who they were when they were alive versus their death, as Trent was just saying. And everything that they have learned since then has been shared or communicated. And I'm imagining that given what Trent is suggesting that Ari should do, that what Ari does is then take it to the next level of treating her like a real person, not treating her like a spirit.
It sounds like the kind of crazy thing Ari would do as well. Just talking to a vial like it's a real person.
Well, and so what is that like? What happens? Narrate for us what happens in that conversation, or what that exchange is like.
Remember that the vial is the size of a loaf of bread.
So rather than like that, like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay.
I was like, wait.
I'm trying to imagine. I'm guessing it would start off initially where, like, when Ari is annoyed at Sky for doing something or like things like that, she will literally talk to the vial and say, like, your brother is crazy. He's going to get us all killed. Like, just actually having like a conversation with the vial as if it's a real person, just to like let out her frustrations about Sky. Almost like she's confiding in it.
Well, and so when it responds to you, what is it saying? Because as we've established before, she can speak from the vial. You can hear her if you have the ability to speak to spirits. So at this point, with all the work that they have done so far, she can actually hold a conversation. So what is that conversation about? Is it just about kind of complaining about Sky and how she shares a story about Sky back to you, or what
Probably. I can imagine it being almost like, oh yeah, this one time he did this thing and that really got me annoyed. Like, right? He has that weird little like twitch that he does when he's lying, and she just sounds like she's talking to herself, and everybody just is like, oh well, that's Ari.
And the first response from her would probably be a very tiny giggle. Whenever Ari mentions something, it's a tiny giggle comes out, and it's like, now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah,
and then
it's
before
like
long, you just find her like actually sitting like cross-legged in front of the vial, like like talking to it. Just like probably finding out a little bit more about Sky as well, like actually learning more about him and his history, trying to understand him more.
Right.
Because this is Ari. She's always been very intrigued in learning more and more about the people that she surrounds herself with. So I would imagine she would hold in eventually just full-on conversations of like, and has he always been this way? Or like, well, what was, something that he did that would make you happy? And
embarrassing baby photos.
Yeah, embarrassing baby photos. Like, and eventually, there'll be just moments where Ari is like seeing Sky and she was like, really? Until the age of 7? Sky. Like, and things like that.
And then as soon as she gets finally released from this thing, the first thing we see is that Jot and Tittle have painted one of these scenes, these embarrassing baby photos. And just what the fuck is your name? Sky is like, what the hell? Yeah.
Okay, so that's actually really kind of cool and an unusual thing for Ari to do, at least in previous experiences. And so with that, Sky, reconciliation is complete. It's now possible to complete the final action, whether that's a score or whatever. We can talk about that in free play. But Ari basically has been doing this for as long as the two of you, you and Hocus have been, while you have been doing all this, what you think is serious work, Ari has been incredibly casual and just kind of reinforcing, your sister as a real person, as a real, having the real conversation, being just girls with her, right? Sharing that camaraderie, and it built a relationship. And I'm very curious to hear how you want to approach what happens, because I have a feeling that Ari has just developed a really great friendship with a spirit. So that could come into play later.
Plot point.
Exactly. All right. So that's your first downtime action. That was amazing. Let's talk about your second one. What do you want to do for your second one?
Well, she's not very stressed right now, so there'd be no point in doing any of that. How about doing something towards us getting a new base? All right, the train base thing.
Okay, so the conversations kind of waffle back and forth whether that was going to be a score or a long-term project. I was always pushing you guys for a score, but it sounds like, given how much else is going on, maybe it is a long-term project. So how would you go about starting to acquire that?
I feel like this would turn into like a few conversations with some of the local. What would the term of phrase be for people who work at the train stations? And
there'd be conductors, there'd be porters, there would be yard
There was a
masters.
special one for the Doskville ones that I don't remember.
Oh,
My
there's
friend
the
was one, and now he's in jail, but he was one.
right. So those are specifically people who travel along
Okay.
the tracks and
Railjacks.
railjacks.
maybe
that's it.
even
Thank you.
just research into actual, like, so that it doesn't take away from us trying to make this a score per se. Is it possible even to just do research on different kinds of trains that we might want to use and the map system and things like that of the tracks of Duskfall?
Okay, how about I make a suggestion that you get an asset, that you go for an asset, and let's call it a railjack.
Okay.
Because Sling has lost. I mean, Sling's contact at the rail yard is currently in Iron Hook, right? So, or at least that's the assumption that that person is in Iron Hook based on what I think Tips told her.
Tips.
All right. So let's call it an asset, and you'll basically what you'll do is you'll acquire, or you're going to seek out a railjack to help you.
Sounds good.
All right.
Seemed good
So-
to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. So go ahead and roll a tier roll, which you guys are tier 3, correct?
Mm-hmm. I'll roll.
All right. So yeah, go ahead and do that for her.
5.
All right. So 5. So that means that your asset is quality 3, because you guys are tier 3. And so when you guys pursue that, you will have a contact in the rail yard specifically that has a railjack. So some of the railjacks, again, are the individuals who ride trains who serve as defenders of the trains against all of the craziness that is in the Ducklands. So whenever a train travels from Dostfall to another city, they're their protectors. They're basically like the gondoliers or the spirit wardens, but in a very different set of circumstances.
Do we do we have any because we're smugglers and stuff, do we have anything that increases the quality of our guys? I just want to make sure we're accounting for that.
Sky, do you guys have anything on your crew sheet?
No.
Okay.
All right. So that was your second downtime action. All right, excellent. Do you want to spend some rep or coin and do an additional one?
We get one more for our crew ability, all hands.
Gotcha.
Or no, that's the
cohorts?
Cohort one.
You
But
get an extra
we already
one.
used that, I think. But there's one that
you
any
did
of
use.
us can use. So if anyone else wants to use one, I have an extra one for my personal ability that lets me get
Right. You held on to that from last week. That's right.
How much coin does it take to?
Just one per additional downtime action.
Well,
Okay,
you can
I want to
use
do
one for free right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I have my ability that lets me give a free one to anyone on the crew.
Okay, I want to use one to just like personal research to gain a skill point.
Okay, train.
Okay.
Yeah, to train.
Cool.
Sorry.
Sweet.
Cool.
Nice.
All right. Excellent. So now we're going to jump over to Sling. Hi, Sling.
Hello, that's me.
What would you like to do for your first downtime action?
For Sling's first downtime action, I'm very glad you asked, Ronnie. I'm very glad that you asked. Sling is going to be by herself on her own, sitting relatively near but not too close to the spirit well where she was first found by her crew. When, I say she was found, when Esther was kind of first found and discovered. And she's just sitting there and looking into the well and contemplating and going over and over in her head, trying to wrap her head around, what exactly is happening. She's not sure who she is anymore. She's not sure if she's Esther, if she's Sling, if she's both, if she's something else. She's absolutely got no idea. But the one crystal clear thing in her head is that Chaos needs to die. And that he
Okay.
needs to die for something that he's done and that he's done to her. But it doesn't make sense because hasn't done anything to her, but he's done something to something in her. And it's all very, very confusing. But thinking to herself and going over this with herself, she knows that holding that blade, it sent something through her, that this was it. This was the final moment where she could do what she's been waiting for thousands of years. She could do it. This blade had that power, but she doesn't have that blade anymore. What she does have is a rifle. And Sling wants to try and find a way to create a bullet that'll do what that blade did.
Interesting. Okay.
And so that's going to be a clock. I'm
Absolutely. And so as you're pondering this sitting at the well, is it like you're like asking this question to the world, or are you having an internal conversation between the part that is Sling and the part that is Esther? How do you get from I need to kill Chaos and I need to make a bullet that will do this, or I need to do something, I need to forge a weapon that will help me do this, to doing that by sitting in front of the well?
It's probably that by sitting at the well she feels comfortable because it's warm and because it feeds that part of her that isn't quite her.
Okay.
And that's why she's there at the well. And the conversation she's having, it's more internal, but Sling's really not used to speaking to anything like this, so it probably does merge with the external world in some sense.
Okay. All right. I know how I want to do this. We're going to call this a 6-segment clock.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to roll a fortune roll, because I want you to build a pool that's built around this, because there isn't really an action that I think that applies necessarily.
Okay. How many dice am I rolling? So,
Well, 1 for sheer dumb luck.
Awesome.
And what else, guys? What else comes into this? Absolutely. So that's Sling that's seen the blade already and knows what to look for. Because so let's set the boundaries of this, because this is a pretty wide place. There are 2 personalities in her right now that are having a conversation. She's not let that on to anybody else yet, but that's really what's going on metagame wise. So Sling has held the blade before, so that's an additional die right there. That's another die right there.
Ooh, true.
Okay, so that's 3 so far. What else can we add to this, guys?
Esther's absolute solid determination that this has to be done at any cost.
Okay.
And Esther's story feeding into Sling's memory.
Okay.
And so they're becoming, rather than becoming 2 personalities that they are now, they're starting to become one.
Okay. All right. So that sounds like that's 2 more right there. So that's 5.
Oh my god, so many dice.
All right. Is there anything else that you guys can think of that plays
One more
positively?
when I have the max, that's going to be great. Love.
Yeah. All right.
Love.
So 6 max. Those are the positives. I'm gonna throw a negative. A negative in just to remove 1, and then
Do you
I'm gonna
hate love, Johnny?
I do not hate love. That's not the one that I'm actually going to take away. I'm going to throw out a negative in that there is so much conflict going on because of this. This is such a new experience for Sling, accepting that there's something else in there with her and having a conversation with it, that it's almost confusing a little bit. Right? It's hard to focus in on that conversation and comprehend it in a normal way. So that removes 1. Does anybody else have any negatives? Okay. All right. So, Sling, with all that in mind, go ahead and roll it.
Oh, it's 2 5s.
That's 2 5s, which means that you advance this. I mean to put that on the GM layer. I apologize.
It's completed. Yay!
That wasn't supposed to go on the GM layers. Get back here. Goddamn. All right. So I'm going to fix that off camera. But yes, the conversation that happens internally, what is that like? I'll give you the information after you tell us narratively what that sounds like.
Okay. So it's Sling, and she sat there, and she's just Esther. Esther. The name was Esther. There was an Esther, and it was Esther. But I was Esther. I had a daughter once called Esther. She was my everything. She was all I had. We had a family and we had a life, and there was a man, and that man was Chaos. I no longer have a daughter called Esther, and that's because of Chaos. Chaos will pay for what he has done, and I will help. We will help together. Chaos will die. He has to die. He's going to die. We'll do to him what he did to Esther. Do to him what he did to me. Together, we'll do it together. You and I, together. Chaos. Chaos is going to die. And I know how. It's essentially just that. It just repeats and repeats and repeats.
So as that conversation goes on, and I imagine that it goes on for a considerable amount of time, things begin to return from Esther's memory, and it's almost like half remembering, half learning it through the conversation. And the first thing that you remember that's really significant about it is that the blade isn't forged. It's carved. It is made out of something that lived, right? And so instead of it being, the kind of thing that you would forge in a fire and then, temper, it's the kind of thing that is shaped from something that was once living. And then the second bit of information that you discover about the blade and the material that it's made of is that it's actually made from the tooth of a Leviathan. And so in that's your next lead. That's where you go to continue is to figuring out how to acquire a tooth of a Leviathan and then shape it. You know where I'm getting this from, right, Hocus?
Yeah.
Joff gets it. So, that's also really interesting information that I've been holding, over Mike's head. He really wants to know more about it, but Nyx hasn't really done any research into actually what the blade is made of. So you might be able to use that also as a bargaining chip with him. I'm giving you that because it's kind of
It's
cool.
a good thing he's still streaming, isn't he? No one tell him.
Shh. It's Phantom's little secret.
I was gonna say,
It is Phantom's little
Can we trust Grimjack not to say it?
I know you're there, Steam.
Is he in chat right now, or is he watching Will and
he's
Grace?
been here since we started.
Sometimes he goes off and watches Will and Grace, so I just want to make
sure he goes off.
Anyways, all right, guys. So that is your first downtime action, doing that research. So one of the other things that happens while you're at the well, just want to establish this, is that you hear something calling out from the well.
Good. And may I ask what it says?
It's speaking a name that you don't understand.
And that name
Metagame-wise, it is the actual name of Hocus from his family name.
That's what I was afraid of.
So if you decide...
2 layers of fear to it now.
So if you share this information with any of them, if you will remember the name to be able to repeat it to Hocus. Okay, so that's your first downtime action.
Hey, Hocus, I heard this strange name today at the well.
While I was contemplating murdering Caius.
First thing out of his mouth would be, "You went back to the well? What is wrong with you?"
What isn't wrong with me? Anyway.
All right, so that was your first downtime action. What would you like to do with your second?
With my second, I'd like to chase up and find out where I can get this horn from.
This
This
is going to lead to
horn?
the second tooth.
The tooth, sorry, the tooth.
Okay, all right. I was like,
The second layer of fear. This is it.
I'm
really? So,
assuming I can't
Trent,
just go to PG Tips and just ask. He's got it in stock.
privately message me what you're
I'm
fearing.
about to.
I'm okay because I'm curious because I'll let you know if it's really the case or not. Now, so how do you want to approach acquiring a tooth?
Part of me just expects Tips to have one or information how to get one.
Expects tips?
Yeah, I don't know why. I'm just like, oh, he knows things.
He's a handy man.
He's got
Handy
lure.
man.
Lures made from
He's got
Leviathan
lore.
blood.
I'm like, he's probably got a supply somewhere. He's got a supply.
We also have a supply of lure.
That may be one of the reasons why I want to go. But
You know the guy who makes lure.
this is a
Let's be honest.
safe space.
True.
We don't talk about my addiction.
It is. It's a safe spot away from Sky where he won't judge her for going near it.
Yes, Sky. Good question. She probably. Is there any knowledge that she would have about where the shipments go to when they come into the city?
So you would know that generally what happens is that the Leviathan iron ships come in, and I'll point it out on the map as I move you guys over.
Once we get back to the map layer.
Yeah, sorry, I'm moving you guys over to the map layer right now. So Leviathan ships come through the lightning barrier. The iron ships come in and they dock at the docks right here, right? So in that district, they're unloaded. They're stored there temporarily under heavy guard because the parts, Leviathan parts and Leviathan blood, the raw material are two things. They're incredibly valuable. It's what makes the Leviathan or the noble families rich for the most part. But the second thing is that it's also incredibly potent and is very sought after by occultists. Anybody who operates in the world of the spectral, or that's like raw power. That's like raw energy. And to be sure, to be distinct, because it's come up before, Leviathan blood and the spectral energy that comes from that is distinct and different than what happens to humans or to any creature that gets picked up by the spirit wardens when they are dissolved and they extract the energy of ghosts. So it's a very different set of circumstances. But so once there, they actually get transported all the way over to here, which I'm drawing a blank as to what that district is called right this second. But they get processed in a big set of plants in that district. And I'm going to tell you what that district is right now. So you guys actually haven't spent a lot of time there. So that is Coleridge. And so Coleridge was the original district of Dulskval that was set up specifically for the refining of coal, which was what was the original source of energy prior to the cataclysm. And so coal became less available because the mines were kind of mined out, and so the industry in that sector or that district basically switched over to Leviathan blood and Leviathan part processing. So
Okay.
and that would be pretty common knowledge, even for somebody on the street, and even for somebody who hadn't spent a lot of time growing up in Dulskval. And there would be actually something very similar in Tycheros, like a very similar kind of setup. So it would be very common.
Okay. So it would seem to be easier to go to Coleridge rather than to get it straight from the docks, where it's to be heavily guarded by hunters.
Well, so we haven't actually established what the circumstances is once you get into a Leviathan processing plant. So it could be either or. You might be able to buy one on the black market, because again, there's a certain amount of vagueness to how easy or hard it is to get actual Leviathan parts, and maybe the teeth are not considered valuable in the same way. Although I imagine that spirit veins and other types of charms are every part of the Leviathan is basically used in some way, shape, or form for protection or for energy or even as weapons. And it's just we haven't obviously gotten there yet.
Okay. In that case, she'll probably go down and just scope out all of the plants and see which one, if any, she'd be able to feasibly get into somehow.
Okay. So is that a study then, or
a survey? Perhaps.
Survey works.
Yeah.
Okay.
What would my position be?
No position. Remember, this is a long-term project, so no position, no effect. Just go ahead and then for die rolls, do you want to push yourself?
I would love to push myself.
Okay. You could also take a devil's bargain.
What would it be if I were to do so?
You have to make out with Ari.
Sign me up. Let's go.
What's my chapstick?
An angel's bargain.
I don't know how to respond to that, Trend. Thanks very much.
Totally. Respond.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Okay. Devil's bargain. Anybody around the table have any suggestions while I come up with one? Because this is an interesting circumstance.
We find out about some of her dealings, maybe?
By dealings, you mean?
With other teams?
I'll have you. I have had no dealings other than that I almost died and they saved me.
What about we realize Esther has a greater... That maybe we realize that Esther's there, that Esther is
still present.
Okay, that's interesting. Maybe Ari, or sorry, not Ari. Maybe Sling has blackouts when Esther is in complete control.
Ooh. And that works as well because we mentioned way back that Ari is prone to just following Sling around just randomly. So it's possible that she just follows her around this event.
It's like, she's still there! Esther's still there!
Okay, I think that's a relatively good devil's bargain.
Because Ari finds Sling just fascinating.
I mean, who wouldn't?
Well, apparently, Jinx finds her fascinating too. He's got a protective arm around her, killing all these bounty hunters and stuff.
So what I was thinking about just then was, but it wouldn't apply to the devil's bargain so much. I mean, we couldn't use it as part of the devil's bargain because if she just didn't have to take it, then it wouldn't apply. What I was going to say is, if during one of these blackouts where Esther was the one in control, that's who went to Coleridge to find the tooth.
Esther went to Coleridge to find the tooth. And Sling didn't make that choice. Sling was not in control. She was unconscious. But I think that's great.
Oh,
I think that's a great modifier to that.
Sling just wouldn't remember.
Right. She just has the tooth.
Ooh.
Suddenly.
It's like when you wake up after a night out and there's like random bottles of alcohol in your bed and you're like, how did this happen?
What is this?
Never had that happen. Never happened.
For me, it's more a wake up and panic of like, where's my phone? Where's my card? Oh, wait, that's still my bra. Thank goodness. Okay.
Now everybody knows.
But where's your bra?
Nice. I'm sure if I were straight, I would have thought of that first.
So,
all right. So it sounds like the devil's bargain is that Esther gains control of Sling occasionally, and there are blackouts that where Sling cannot remember what happens. And as a part of this is one of those blackouts. You actually going to Coleridge to assess things is not in Sling's memory at all. So like you advance, but either you suddenly find yourself aware of the information of what you're looking for, or even you may have acquired a tooth, depending upon the role, and not even realized how you acquired that tooth.
Can you imagine if you're older, she just walks in and picks one up and is like, "Bye, guys. My name's Sling. See you." And then they all show up at Sling's like, "Are you called Sling? Yes. You need to give us the tooth back. Also, we're going to kill you." Like, hang on. I can imagine that happening.
He's like, "Oh, I have a tooth." And then the blue coach shows up saying, "There's a wake of dead bodies leading back to this door."
I just turn around and there's just a trail of dead people.
Exactly.
It's like,
Just blood.
oh, it's happened again. Oh, no.
I love this devil's bargain. I think you need to roll it.
Okay.
I think you need to take it
How
and roll
about we
it.
make it even more interesting?
What's
And
that?
we combine 2 devil's bargains.
Okay, I'm
For
intrigued.
just one die or for two?
To make a devil's agreement and have
A concordance.
a devil's accord.
An accord. Okay.
And have both of Esther taking control and Sling not knowing, and perhaps Ari being there and seeing it happen and seeing whatever it is that Esther does that Sling doesn't know.
Are you okay with that?
I'm okay with that.
We have an accord. So you get 2 die.
Devil's accord.
That is now a canon thing. If you
Call
want to
me
take
up,
2
John
dice,
Harper. Let's go.
we're calling it an accord. And it's brutal. What did you get?
Oh,
What'd you
3 5s and a 6. So
Oh my god. Okay.
can that count as a crit just because that's a nice number?
No. we're gonna play by the rules. However, with a 6, let me bring you guys back over to
The
here.
clubs.
With a 6, this is the great thing about it, right? You advance the clock 3 times, which means the next time that you actually execute on this, you complete the clock. Now, Esther, you acquired a tooth. In fact, you acquired a couple of teeth.
Oh my.
Because you realize that if you're going to make some sort of a weapon that it's like a bullet, you might need more than one. Describe to us how you acquired it and what Ari actually saw.
Oh god. I might need some time to think about that.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Since yours is the last downtime action, unless you want to take another one, we will go into free play, and it will happen during free play when you are ready to describe us. Before the next score starts, we would like you to describe it to us. So we'll give you a few minutes.
Okay.
And feel free to chat with everybody else about what's going on.
Okay.
All right. Cool. All right. Now we're into free play. So you guys have all completed your downtime actions. How do you guys want to proceed moving forward?
Train.
You want to go after the headquarters?
We need the base. We
Okay.
need a base bad.
It's been so long.
Okay.
We literally have nowhere to live, guys.
Okay.
We've been couch surfing for the last few weeks.
So I know that Joff or Jinx acquired a notebook and a billfold that he'll want to look at as well, and this is the perfect opportunity to dig into that as well. As well as your Rook network come back with some information that there was some sort of a circumstance going on at the Eruvian Sword School. Not really clear what's going on, but there appeared to be more than just a little bit of a scuffle, and the spirit wardens did show up to remove a number of bodies. So guys, how would you like to proceed?
That doesn't bother me at all.
Well, it should, because you know that their attachment to the red sashes, like this, legitimately, I'm gonna give you the poke that this would bother Sky because of the Eruvian School's connection to the red sashes and your relationship with the red sashes and how well they took care of you when you were on the run in Crowsfoot. So
That's unfortunate. Anything we can do to help?
Do to help, you mean with the red sashes?
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about it. Like when you make inquiries, they're not responding. In fact, none of your contacts right now with the red sashes are responding. They appear to be just keeping incredibly silent.
I'd like to personally make a delivery.
2.
Red sashes to one of my contacts in the Vice Dens there.
Okay. So in doing so, they accept your delivery, but the moment that you start inquiring, they try to shove you out the door. So how are you approaching this? Like, because it's more the relationship that you had. It's not like they're not appreciative of that relationship, but it's clearly like there's something that they can't talk about right now.
Would it matter if I said that I went to Marik?
What do you mean by that?
If my contact in the red sashes that I was delivering to was Marik, would he might have a different take on things. He might not be so...
Okay, so if you were to go to Marik, this would be so soon after the event, he wouldn't have any more information than you already have.
Okay.
Like about the only piece of information that he might be able to, he might have gleaned that you necessarily wouldn't any other way, is that there is a crisis that requires a meeting of everybody, all the heads of the Red Sashes. That's what his understanding of the situation is.
Do we want to get in on that meeting?
Oh, yes, I do. But we have to get a lair.
We could always send one person in while everybody else does train stuff.
And I want to look at this book.
Well, so
we're spreading ourselves really thin.
Yeah.
You are, well, so there's definitely more investigating that you can do, right? So you could, I mean, going to Marik is a starting point, because now you know there is some sort of meeting that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
There is the billfold and the notebook that's available to you that you can investigate and then figure out what's going on there with that person tracking you. And then there's, the fact that you are actively trying to acquire a rail car for a new HQ. So there are 3 options in front of you. You can investigate, or you can immediately jump into something and then go from there. The meeting definitely requires more investigation, and so does the billfold. The billfold in the notebook.
Let's see if you can find out more about the billfold quickly, and then we can try the other things.
Okay.
We'll say that Jinx and Ari, they get back and let the group know what just happened. Oh, and P.S. I killed someone. Also, we found this. So this is good, and I don't know. Basically, this guy was tailing us, and he was here in Kellen's. And let's find out why. And Jinx will lay out the parchment on the table and set down the book and the billfold.
Okay, so going through the billfold, you see, you get about what would essentially be 1 coin worth of high denomination paper money.
Ew.
So it's enough that it makes you curious as to why he would be running around carrying enough money like that. On top of that, you would, as you start to flip through the notebook, begin to realize that he had been tracking your movement for a while, specifically Jinx Godefur.
Uh-oh.
Like, and you see notes about that and about the movements of the various Skullwinders.
Oh.
And as you're kind of flipping through, you almost miss something, but you flip back, and there is this folded piece of parchment in there. And there are a series of letters on it that are incoherent but don't make any sense. However, on the letterhead of this particular piece of parchment is a K, kind of embossed and, kind of shaped with four, corners essentially to it. And so if you do give me an investigation roll or you ask around, I'll give you that information pretty easily. And it's pretty obvious what it is. It's just, I don't think Jinx would know specifically.
He showed it to me, right?
He would have showed it to you.
It
Yeah,
gets
he would've-
tossed around.
Is it
Everything
from
gets-
Keel?
It is the Keel family, essentially
business
monograph.
I have his
Right.
business card, so I would have seen it.
So
Right?
that's correct.
That's Keel.
Sky, who's Keel? Why is he watching me and my people?
Well, Keel is the that racist guy who was running for alderman of Crowsfoot.
Right.
Yeah.
Wait, but
That
He's
was
dead.
Horus. That was Horus.
that was Horus. Yeah.
And Horus is dead.
Yeah.
Well, from
Why
what I
are these guys-
understand, his sister was making quite the ruckus at that speech the other
Yeah.
night. Get the feeling there might still be some hard feelings there, especially when Bowerstone was spouting off how you were supporting him.
Oh, crap.
Yeah.
Would Hocus have made any deliveries to the Keel family?
I don't know. You tell me, because I think that Hocus would have avoided certain circumstances. Well, you would have avoided certain types of businesses if you could have. For example, you would have stayed away from things like anything related to Spectral. In my head,
True.
there's a little bit of a vagueness there in respect to the noble families, because they wouldn't necessarily have, or at least not out in the open, at least where you would make deliveries. Anything that was either spectral in origin or ghost or that kind of a thing. So
And I wouldn't say that delivering a message to the house would be dealing with them per se.
right, exactly.
In case of, here, this is for so and so.
Right. So, I mean, I would assume that in your duties as a courier, when you were a courier, that would have happened.
So I would know at least a bit of the lineage currently.
Exactly.
Then that will justify this statement. If it is not Tabitha, it could well be her father, Tobias.
Excellent. Just the kind of attention we need.
I don't know. All I know is it ain't safe here anymore. This
Well,
tavern, you got good people around us, but
I do, but we got a problem. I killed the one dude, and if his cohorts know as much as he did, they'll know to come to Kellen's. They'll know where to find me. We might have a problem.
So we leave.
What did you do with the body?
So we leave. All right. Okay, we leave. Where are we gonna go?
Well, we've been moving a lot, and that's been kind of working for us, never being really in one spot.
Mm-hmm.
I say we go with that. We find a way to keep on the go, but have a place to rest our heads at the end of the day, too.
I like it.
A way out of the city would be nice. A boat. Well, probably not a boat after last
No,
time.
not a
We have bad memories with boats.
A train.
Johnny, did you say that the bridge over towards Ironhook is covered
Yes.
and that it's ghost fielded? I mean, not ghost fielded, but it's lightning fielded.
I didn't say that it was lightning fielded. I said that the lamps, the spectral lamps that were the electroplasm lamps that were in there were older technology. So it was older Sparkrite technology, and that the cables were less shielded and more kind of like they make crackle and sizzle sounds, and you can kind of see a glow going through. So it's older technology of Sparkrites. Now it wouldn't be necessarily out of the realm of jumping to a conclusion that might have the side effect that you're talking about.
What you said you killed someone. What did you do with the body?
I didn't have an opportunity to dispose of it, Hocus. I ran. We
got busy.
Yeah. We didn't have an opportunity, Hocus.
It's all right. I have not yet heard the crows.
What?
I haven't heard the crows.
He's
the
not.
Bridge. No, I don't know if he's dead. He may be dead. He may not be. But what I'm thinking is that perhaps that particular bridge, perhaps there is it might be more difficult for the crows to perceive death upon that bridge never mind, don't worry about it. We're talking about the train.
No, there are plenty of train cars around there out of commission. Harding ourselves among those couldn't be too hard.
It would be very handy.
How many would we need? I mean, we'll need the engine. If we want to take our cart with us, we'll need at least a flatbed cart for that. And if we wish to continue doing our transportation cargo business, we need at least 2-3 carts, and then one for us to live in.
Sounds all right to me.
It's going to cost some coin.
Well,
Or the right supplies into the right hands.
That's
We
true.
do kind of have an overabundance of lure.
true.
Thank goodness Duskfall has a drug problem.
Not just us, Glo.
Don't talk about it in front of the Sling.
I'm very, very sensitive.
Do also have our friend and lady slain, so to speak. Ministry of Preservation. Contact like that might be able to give us some, I don't know, bureaucratic leniency.
It's a good idea. It's a solid idea. We need to be out of here. We've got multiple reasons to be out of here. I'm drawing far too much attention to Kellen's, and
Oh, you kind of stand out, Jinx.
yeah.
I like it. We'll go legitimate.
I don't know about that, but
Well, whatever is legitimate here. This is the closest we'll ever get to it.
fair enough.
Legitimate criminals.
Find ourselves a job, keep moving.
I had one of those. You guys sort of pulled me out of it.
Isn't this more fun?
Not really, no.
Certainly not boring.
That is true.
Well, I suppose we got a couple options. Do we want to try and leverage Lady Slane to write this thing off? Or do we want to try and steal it? Maybe just get some assistance on the back end.
I'm leaning towards Lady Slane. Admittedly. We've done a lot of stealing. It's time for a change of pace, right?
Yes, and typically if one were to steal something, you would want to remove it from the place you stole it. So unless we're planning to leave Duskwall, we saw how well that went the last time we tried it. There's not really very many places we can move a train.
This is true.
And some legitimacy will help.
All right. Let's see if we can get an audience with Lady Slane then.
Goody.
Score time.
Okay, so the score sounds like a social engagement.
Mm-hmm.
And you are going to Lady Slane, is that correct?
Yes.
With the intent of essentially having the Ministry of Preservation hand you over, or negotiate for a train car. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow. Okay. I hadn't really thought about going at this angle. This is actually kind of neat. So how are you? So from a score perspective, what's the point of entry, since this is a social engagement, right? So what does that mean for your detail? Again, being a social engagement, you need a social connection specifically.
Right.
Lady Slane is that?
Yes. Lady Slane is technically our contact. I think.
Is that the crew contact, or is that an individual's contact? Okay.
Right. So I think we kind of discussed that, like, we wouldn't have met in person more than like once. We would have mostly dealt with her through intermediaries in the past.
Okay. I do remember that being a part of the discussion. Yeah.
We would like to try and request an audience with her personally, in the hopes of getting a deal made.
Okay. So since this is a social engagement, I'm assuming loadouts are not necessarily the standard, that you're more walking in with sort of a casual affair, or maybe a dressed up kind of a formal affair kind of a situation. Mm-hmm. Would that be correct for everybody, or is there anybody specific who would come in dressed in some different way or have their normal equipment set up? I mean, would Hocus go in his full-on Spirit Warden, or not Spirit Warden, but
it's like that would
Ghost,
be impressive.
Whisper garb?
He would not want to take it off. He basically takes it off to wash it, and then as soon as it's dry, it goes right back on. He is not comfortable being without that protection.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, so while we're waiting for Ari to return, I want to include her since this is the engagement role that's coming up. Sling, are you ready to tell us what happened? You're not ready.
No.
You're not ready.
No.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I guess we will just start talking about the engagement role. All right, guys. +1 for sheer dumb luck. What's in your favor?
She's our crew contact. She's not a stranger.
Okay. So that's 2 dice. What else is working in your favor here?
Would our asset in the railjacks help?
Do you want to use it in this circumstance, or do you want to use it as something that actually happens? Because the assets are one-time use only. Now, what that means is that you get, if you use it here, you get an automatic 3 die by using that asset. So you immediately jump to 5 die.
That would be pretty cool, but I don't know if we want to use it now or later. What do you guys think?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, your engagement roll is starting off on a better position always is good when you're dealing with an uncertain situation.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else that would play in our favor here.
Love.
Because it's going to go away. Love is going to come in.
Oh.
All right. So pulling one specifically away from, since you've never actually met this person in person before, since you've done all of this through intermediaries, that adds a little bit of uncertainty about how this is actually going to play out. Like when you meet somebody and you build a relationship with them, there's this rapport that you have, and so conversation goes a particular way. You learn their likes and dislikes. That you get to read their body language. There are so many things that come from building that relationship. Because you've done it through intermediaries, that doesn't apply here. So you're going to lose one for that. Is there any other negatives that anybody can think of that might apply here?
Our relationship with them has likely changed as a result of Donovan's burning to the ground.
Whoopsie.
Or not specifically Donovan's burning to the ground, but our crew's reputation kind of changing as of late. We probably haven't been in contact for a while.
Especially after the explosion in Crowsfoot.
Okay. That's actually really interesting. Yeah, I got to agree. I mean, I was actually wanted to not agree with that, but given everything else that's gone on, yeah, I think that's a fair point, because that would have been probably the last time that you had dealt with the Ministry of Preservation in any way, shape, or form. Okay, anything else? No? All right.
I don't think so.
Okay, so who wants to do the roll?
I'll do it. 4
All right.
dice.
4 dice. Okay, 5. That's not too terribly bad. Asking a question before we get started. What specifically was Donovan serving to the Ministry of Preservation? How are they helping? Because the Ministry of Preservation's job is to make sure that life doesn't get any worse for anybody. Now, that quality of life sucks. Living in Doskval basically means surviving on eels and mushrooms, basically. There are little other elements that they provide to make sure that people survive or can survive, but it's the minimum, the absolute minimum, in order for people to typically be able to get through their day or through their existence. Their existence, their paltry existence inside of Doskval. So, what is it that Donovan's would have provided to them?
We did, as I recall, have gigantic kegs of eels and mushrooms in the warehouse.
Gigantic?
Well, they were pretty big.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, I mean, that doesn't help make people not think about the fact of, oh, good, eel again, thanks. Part of the vice, though, I mean, since we also did vice dealings out of or through the thing, I would say that we probably also had access to a few spices that could make eel a little less gross. Not much, but a little bit less gross.
Maybe some exclusive suppliers over on the other side who only we could get in contact with. So we'll provide some exotic spices in exchange for you also letting us get some lure through.
Okay. All right. One final question, actually, because I like the idea of you being able to, the crew being able to establish where you want to meet her. does this make sense that it would happen? I mean, because this is the first time, right? She may not agree, but given the roll with a 5, you get a lot of leeway in respect to establishing where this actually goes down.
Mm-hmm.
So where would you guys like to have this meeting? Would you like to be at the ministry in Charter Hall? Would this be the kind of thing that you would go to the Vale for in Night Market? Or would it be like a neutral location even farther off the beaten path than the Vale? Because even...
No business in the Vale, right?
Well, no business in the Vale can be conducted, but that doesn't mean you can't start there. You can't meet her there, right?
I would like to offer an alternative for that.
Sure.
We forego choosing a location ourselves in exchange for an increase in our likelihood to succeed. Let her choose a site that she's comfortable with, but it will increase our position or whatever.
Okay. So any social roles will definitely go in your favor as being completely controlled. Like, so any roles that you guys make in interactions are completely controlled in that respect. All right. So your position for all social roles will be positioned. So any interactions, if something else comes up, you have to attune. That doesn't necessarily apply. But for everything that requires like sway or a consort or a command, all of those, your position will be controlled. I think that's great. So you sent the inquiry for the meeting, and the response that you get is a little bit of a surprise with a little bit of humor written into the response, suggesting that you meet at a cafe in Charter Hall, where it would be a very public kind of a situation where business, the casual affair of business being done, and it's going to happen, at hour 6, which is essentially the lunch hour for during the business day in Charter Hall. And she wants to meet again at this very public location, and she says that I don't care who else you bring, but only come to the table with one other person, is what she implies. So when you arrive there, the situation that you find is it's a bustling, busy cafe. It's almost like the life that you normally know when going to establishments outside of Charter Hall or Brightstone doesn't exist. The light in the location is incredibly bright. The light on the streets, because it's the daytime and it's Charter Hall, light is a little bit brighter here, right? They try to simulate a day and night, but it's not as significant as Brightstone, and it's not anywhere significant as in the same way that they do it in White Crown. But it's a little bit brighter there. There's a little bit more vibrance. There's a little bit more laughter. There's a little bit lack of the drudgery of the day-to-day that is in the real life of Dosqual. And so when you enter, the greeter, after you mention that you're here to meet Lady Slain, points you in the direction of her, and you see that there is quite a young woman sitting next to her, who looks to be some sort of an assistant or a secretary, ready with notes, a notepad open, and Lady Slain is talking, and the young woman is just like taking notes or and asking questions and just kind of jotting things down. And so as you step up to sit down, she says, "How have you been, Sky?"
I've been quite well. Thank you for asking, ma'am.
And so, who is this that you brought with you? Who came with you?
This is my associate.
Who went with you, Sky?
Genevieve.
It's Ari.
That's a good
Pleased
name.
to make your acquaintance.
Oh my God, I'm gonna die.
I now wish I had made a male character in here so that Trend can take over.
I'm rather pleased with.
You can take over a female character.
No, I want to see Ari do this. I want that accent. Go for it.
Okay.
No, I mean for her assistant.
So Lady Slane shakes your hand enthusiastically. It's just a pleasure to meet you. It's lovely that you brought a business associate. I didn't realize that you were working with Genevieve. Genevieve, what do you do for a living?
Oh, what don't I do for a living? This gentleman has got me running around all over the place.
Well, I'm glad to see that Sky has got somebody who's enthusiastic and working for him. Every correspondence I've ever had from him has been incredibly dour.
It's exactly the word I was thinking.
And so she's like, "So Sky, I understand that there was a problem with Donovan's. What happened?"
Well, unfortunately, someone who wasn't quite involved with the operation found out a bit too much. We decided it was time to leave that name behind.
It was such an unfortunate incident.
I know. As I understand it, you were wanted. You might still be wanted. It's brave of you to come to this meeting.
Well, I wouldn't have come here if I didn't think I had something to offer you as much as you have to offer me.
Well, that's lovely. I mean, we desperately miss your spices. They make for the children at the orphanages around the city, for the women who are struggling to make meals taste. They really could use that. That would. I mean, we'd love to have your supply come in again. We've missed it. So
I always say that you can never get by without a little bit of rosemary. That will make any meal better.
And so, as you're having this conversation, and there are pleasantries being exchanged around cooking and the value of what Donovan's has done, and she is just really buttering you up. And so you get a little indication that she's kind of stalling for a second or for a minute, and then she's like, "Oh, Constable, it's nice to see you." And she raises her hand, and you turn and look, both of you, and you realize that the chief of the Blue Coats in Charter Hall is standing behind you. She says, "It's a pleasure to meet, or it's a pleasure to see you again. We're having lunch here. I'm doing a little bit of business. Have you met Sky before?"
Have we met him before?
No.
Oh,
okay.
Not
We
the
met
one
a different police.
No, and yet he died. He died at Donovan's. Remember?
That's right. Jinx.
That was Six Towers, and Jinx killed him.
Right, 6 Towers. Right.
Okay, so at this moment, you're shaking hands with the constable, or you're shaking hands with essentially the Blue Coat in charge in Charter Hall. I'm going to ask, where are Hocus, Jinx, and Sling?
Not there.
Well, she implied that it was okay for you to be there, just not to come to the table.
Huh.
According to the note that you received. So I'd like to know where the rest of you are, just in just to kind of get the circumstance, or to set the scene.
I don't know that most of them really fit in the cafe other than maybe Hocus.
No, they may not, but I would like to know where they are. If they're somewhere peripheral, I mean, is Sling, kind of sitting up on top of a building, just kind of watching what's going on, kind of keeping an eye? I mean, those are the kinds of things that I would be curious about.
Yeah, Jinx is probably across the street. He's across the way. He has eyes on the building, but he's otherwise just hanging out.
Okay.
Sling's on top of a roof where she's got eyes on both Jinx and the cafe.
Is it possible that we may have had like a signal already sorted for if shit hits the fan?
I think that's the perfect thing for a flashback.
I think we can save that for a flashback if we need it.
Absolutely.
It's so long since I've gotten to do that move.
What else is around there? I mean, as far as the...
It's mostly cafes, a couple of shops, maybe not high-end shops, but of quality goods. Not something that you would find in the night market necessarily, or in Brightstone. But like maybe a tailor, or maybe a hatter of some kind, maybe a butcher there. But it's a district that's relatively close to, or it's a block that's relatively close to where business gets done, so that the workers from the government offices can come out and have lunch and maybe do a bit of shopping for their needs, but not directly next to the government building. So there might be a shop that deals in spirit vein charms, but it might be more of a superficial kind of a thing. Or there might be a library near there. I mean, that's another option. Which is something that I'm a little surprised that we've never actually engaged in this game so far in any of the crews, is that nobody's gone to the library.
Yeah.
Someone went to a library.
Vale, she went. And Wolf.
Wolf went to a library.
And Chimes, she did some research.
You're right. You are absolutely right. Okay. I'm just surprised we don't spend more time in libraries. I guess it wasn't.
We're not
There's time for reading.
Johnny.
We're blowing up the city.
Next chapter.
Drugs
How
are the
about
new
library? Are you
education.
happy, Johnny?
Yes. Okay. So
I would think that unless he were specifically told, this guy told him, I need you there. I don't think Hocus would have gone.
Okay. Fair enough. Love the glasses.
Thank you. I thought it would fit with the character better.
I was going to say I'm not wearing glasses. Oh, her. Okay.
All right. So it is at this time when the constable that she just greeted walked in that what Sling and Jinx saw from the outside was 4 blue coats walking in very casually, as if they're just going in to have a conversation or going in to have lunch or whatever, right? So, and they're going into a busy, bustling cafe at around what would be considered lunchtime. And so we cut back into the action as she says, "Have you met Sky before?" And the constable says, "No, I actually haven't. Sky, is it?" And just a little uncertain.
That's right, sir. What, may I get your name as well?
My name is Theodore.
It's a pleasure.
It is. We're my lady, we're going to move on to go have lunch. We've got a short time before we have to get back. He said, "Oh no, I just wanted to introduce you, and this is Genevieve right here." And he holds out his hand as if to and shakes your hand and says, "It's been a pleasure. Now we're going to go over here." She's Lady Slane waves, says hello to each of them, knowing them by name, and she kind of looks back at Sky as they kind of move back, and she's got this real big smile on her face, and she says, "So."
Because sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name. Sorry.
So you're saying I should have named him Norm?
No, but cheers.
All right. So she turns back to Sky with a big grin and says, "So, Sky, what can I do for you today?"
Well, as you know, the unfortunate circumstances around Donovan's have unfortunately been preventing us from carrying out some of our normal operations. What I'd appreciate from you would be a new way to bring in some spices into the city.
So we're going to be returning to our original arrangements?
Not quite. You see, the suppliers on the other end, they've grown a little bit weary. And they'd really prefer to have an operation that's run by us and not through you. Now, I've tried to negotiate with them in the past, but well, things will generally continue as normal, but what we'd need from you is a train, a car to operate of our own.
Okay. So I'm going to take a pause for a second and ask you a question, because it seems like you're lying to her.
Yes.
Are you? Okay, so what are you lying about specifically?
What the suppliers have said.
Okay, and so when you say that, what does that mean? Because we're building this on the fly narratively, so I just kind of want to get a context so that I understand how she's going to respond, especially when another element pops into play.
That she can probably tell when someone's lying or something.
No, that never happens, man. There's no special ability like that at all.
Yeah, and definitely she would not have it.
Would trust in me maybe work on her?
So what does that ability do?
You get an extra 1 dice versus a target whom we have an intimate relationship.
You definitely don't have an intimate relationship with her.
Give her 5 minutes.
Well, so now that's interesting though. In the past, Ari and Sky have had what I wouldn't call extremely intimate, but they have had intimate moments. Intimate not being necessarily being physical, right? There has been a bonding and a sharing in a way. So if he's lying to her, and you want to support him in that, we'll have him make a roll, and your additional die will get transferred as an additional die to him, and basically as an assist without costing anything.
Okay.
And that way, it will help whatever, it'll help whatever the result of the argument is. So I think that it's still not being physical, but that being an intimate kind of a relationship where there's all that sharing, I think that totally applies.
Especially the recent increase of that through the sister.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
There was the significant amount of bonding that's going on. So going back to Sky, so you're lying to her.
Mm-hmm.
You're lying to her about the suppliers. What's the lie that you're telling?
The lie that I'm telling is that the suppliers have requested that we operate our own train specifically. I would imagine that our suppliers on the other end have grown weary, because we haven't been taking in anything from them really.
Sure.
For a while. But their specific request of not having the ministry involved, or of us being the ones to own the train.
Okay.
That didn't happen.
Okay. So
basically, it'd be about cutting out the middleman, basically, and just saying, like, we're dealing just with that supplier.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Not. Okay. Yeah.
Right. So she leans in and she says, "Sure, those suppliers have been saying that." And the young woman next to her kind of whispers in her ear and kind of notes something as she's kind of looking at you, and she looks down for a second.
Well, I'm sure they'd be happier in that situation at the very least.
So why don't you roll something and try to convince her that the lie works anyways, because you've been caught in the lie.
Okay. Can I roll consort?
Absolutely, because you have a previous relationship with her, even though you've never met her before.
Mm-hmm. And position we determined was controlled based on...
Absolutely. Completely. Any social role is going to be a controlled position.
Okay. And effect?
I'm thinking standard, unless anybody else has any ideas. And the reason I'm thinking standard is that you're basically convincing her to overlook the circumstances and to accept what you're offering.
Okay.
And then you get the additional die from Ari.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the trust special ability.
Cool.
Trust in me, trust in me. That's the snake song from the Jungle Book.
Mm-hmm. Just makes me think you're going to eat her as soon as you're done.
Can I get like another die for the fact that she wants the spices regardless? That we did have a kind of good situation going on before.
I would say yes, but then I would also say that because this is the first time you're meeting her in person, that it balances itself out, right? Because there's you're still establishing an in-person relationship kind of thing.
Okay, that's fine.
And you realize that because she has she's a shrewd negotiator and basically has a bullshit detector of some kind that you can't quite figure out. This is probably the why you haven't met with her in the first time.
Okay. I'll go ahead and roll it then with just one bonus die.
Do you want to take a devil's bargain or push yourself?
What's the devil's bargain?
I got one that's really, really mean, and I don't know if I want to say it.
Well, you have to.
You know you want to say it.
I'm the only one who has a devil's bargain who doesn't know what it is.
Yeah, what's surprising is that actually hasn't come up yet, and I've been waiting to bring it in, and I haven't been able to yet. When your sister ultimately reaches that reconciliation, she's going to leave you. Okay, well, wait a minute. I'm going to open it up to the table and to see if there's anything else that anybody has, because that's a pretty significant one, right? It's on the level of the Samandra one that just happened, and the Mercy one that happened, and the Esther, Sling one. That doesn't mean that you can't visit her. It's just ultimately that she's not going to stay with you.
I think that's fair.
Devil's bargain, she never leaves.
There's that too. That could get really annoying. She could go back to being that annoying little sister.
Or worse, it becomes like the Shadow of Mordor, like half your freaking body is glowing with this ghostly thing, and every time she touches somebody, yes, mistress, what do you want from me?
I don't know.
Well, while we're debating, you read what I sent you in Zoom.
Okay.
Not you, him.
Oh, damn it. All right, well, I hate you too.
Uh-huh. So we're talking about other possible devil's bargains?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I honestly feel like I'm being a little bit mean by suggesting that one.
I don't agree.
But it was the best one that I could come up with,
I don't think it's all that mean. I think that's actually very reasonable.
Okay.
Narratively. Because, she would, the whole idea of her getting her life back would be resuming a life, and that would
well, especially given the recent update to Sky's backstory. Things could really get interesting because of that. Like, there could be another whole plot thread that gets pulled around her leaving and then Sky having to
and without her right, and without her being there, then that furthers his need to change his vice.
Exactly.
So I don't see it as that bad at all.
Okay.
I want to story-wise, kind of, but at the same time, I really don't, because I love my sister. And also, just because it seems unrelated to the situation we're in. Like, if it were a matter of a devil's bargain for something that was bringing her to reconciliation, I think I would be like more for it. But because
I can give you one that's more directly related to this.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Hocus. Go ahead.
I was going to say, she'll help us do this, but the Ministry of Preservation is going to check every shipment in detail.
Oh, I love that. I love that a lot, actually.
But they'll allow us to bring in drugs and stuff still, right?
But they're gonna pay attention to every single shipment. Yes. which might lead to ultimate interference from the Ministry of Preservation in your business.
Go for a normal roll. Go for a normal roll.
I mean, that could be a complication if I don't fully succeed on this roll anyways.
Yep.
So I'm just gonna roll it.
Well, what was the other one that you were thinking of, John?
Okay, so ultimately, she, if she agrees to this new relationship, this change, she's actually going to not just monitor would be the thing that Hocus is suggesting, but she's actually going to insert somebody in your organization to keep an eye on you, specifically Sky.
Like they'd follow us around doing everything, or just like when we're at the train?
They would be tracking your business and what you do is for your business.
An auditor, basically.
For lack of a better description, yes. And what it really would be somebody to keep an eye on Sky, who has been troublesome.
I'm just gonna roll it.
Okay, good. All right, good.
Okay.
Crit! You crit!
Oh.
Excellent.
You make me a convincing argument as to why she should completely ignore your lie without implying that she caught you in a lie. So you don't, and it doesn't even have to be all that elaborate. And if you want to let Madame Gandalf or Ari do it as Genevieve, I'm happy with that too. Just somebody come up and set it up such that there's this beautiful, convincing reason why, regardless of the lie, she should trust you. Because you are going to succeed, and I'm going to give you something extra for it. But I want you guys to narratively give me a good reason for it.
Ari has documents. She always has documents. What if we have forged documents?
Forged documents for what are they representing?
Stuff.
Things.
We're building a beautiful story here, and all you can give me is stuff.
Well, I mean the white marshmallow fluff that digests you from the inside out from the movie. That's what.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure, okay, right.
Or I kind of like what's going on in the Zoom chat right now. He flaunts the fact that maybe she is a bit sweet on Sky.
Okay, well, how do you use that, Sky? Or how does Genevieve apply that into this situation between Sky and Lady Sling? Because that could be seen based on the way that she's responded to you so far.
Maybe at this point, Ari can kind of see that she might be kind of the third wheel going on. And she says, I'm just going to go powder my nose, and gives him like a moment alone with her.
Okay.
Would that maybe help?
And at that moment, she kind of nudges the assistant to, follow along. And she makes googly eyes at Sky for just a second and says, so what are you really offering, Sky? I love the struggle that you're having with us right now. This is awesome.
Oh my god.
Cyrino, sell your body for the train.
That's what's happening right now.
One night of pleasure for a whole resting place.
So hold on a second. You guys have critted. There will be no selling of bodies. Sky, all he has to do is say something sweet to her.
Unless she wants to get railed.
Oh! It brings a whole new meaning of having a train run on you.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Nice.
Sorry, I'm getting a little off track here.
Something caboose. You know, I really do appreciate all that you've done for me so far. And I always thought it was real sweet how you take so much care in all the children in the world.
And Ari's going to signal like, hair behind the ear, hair behind the ear. Put her hair. There you go.
And with that, she's taken aback a little bit, and you see her defenses kind of fall for a second, and she almost gets a little demure just for a second until she collects herself and says, "Well, maybe another time, Sky. I do have to get back, but a train car, you said?
Yeah, well,
do you expect to go anywhere?"
Oh, not often, certainly.
All right.
I imagine I'd have our own associates to operate it from time to time. Mostly it would just sit there, be somewhere for us to lay our heads.
She says, there is we just decommissioned, I was working with and she mentions the name of a railjack, and it happens to be the asset that Madame Gandalf rolled for. She says, and she mentions the railjack's name. I just worked with this one gentleman to decommission one of their specialty cars. It's one of the things they ride in when they go on the long trips, when they need downtime, when they're running in shifts. It's got bunks. It's got a little bit of a cargo space. It's got a little bit of a workshop. It's got a workshop in there so that they can repair and make their tools as they need to. But we just had to decommission it because one of the wheels was in disrepair. So I think, yeah. And she waves, and what you realize is that the assistant never actually left. She always kept an eye on you the entire time. And she waves. She comes back and she kind of whispers and she says, "Here, take this, and visit the rail yard, the engineer's office." And she kind of mumbles a little bit, and she talks about, and what you end up with, in your hand is a writ. Providing you with a temporary storage space when your goods come in is what it officially says. But what it is it's a railjack's car for their quarters, essentially their crew quarters, and it has a workshop. It's got some storage space, plenty of storage space for your cart. You will have to figure something out for your goats. It's off to the side, so it's towards the canal side. If you look at, and why is that map up there? I didn't mean for that map to be on. Let's get this one. So it's canal side towards Coleridge, where you'll be able to have easy access also to any boats on the water. And she says. And she hands you a final sort of, kind of feathering, beautiful writing, kind of a letter of a writ for should you ever need to should you ever repair the car itself and you need to travel. This is a one-way guarantee to get you anywhere to one destination in all of the Imperium. As operating under the business of the Ministry of Preservation. But you still have to repair the car, just so you know.
Okay. So generous as always. Well, it's been awful nice talking to you.
Now, I will be expecting those spice shipments to come in. When can we expect them next week? The week after? I mean, we do have Coachella coming up, and the ministry has been requested to provide a great deal of of foodstuffs in order to celebrate the reopening of the lightning barrier tower. That was a problem in Barrowcleft. You did hear about that, right?
Oh,
and she looks at you knowingly.
Don't you worry. We've actually already spoken with the Goatchella managers. We're planning on giving them some foodstuffs anyways.
Excellent. Okay. Well, as long as we'll have some of your vendor spices, those were important. So, Sky, it's been an absolute pleasure. And she reaches out her hand.
Yes. What that. I do that.
You were struggling with this, and she is just. All right. So, she reaches out her hand. You kiss it. She's like, and I hope to see you at Goatchella, Sky. Maybe we can finally have a dance. And at that moment, Ari starts to walk back up, as with Genevieve.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to steal him away from you. We're now running late for our second appointment today. Hopefully everything was all sorted out.
It was a pleasure, Genevieve. Thank you very much. It was very nice to meet you. You take care of this young man.
Oh, you're just a doll. Thank you so much for dealing with him for me.
Does Genevieve have any lipstick on her anywhere?
Probably on her tooth. I
didn't mean her own lipstick.
Oh. The assistant comes back looking all flushed.
No, you mustn't. I'm supposed to be keeping an eye.
Okay. And so I assume that Genevieve pulls Sky away from that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's where we're gonna call the score. We're gonna cut there. So good job, guys. You got exactly what you wanted. You got a little bit more because of a really great crit. Great thinking on Trent's part about that whole condition, or the position situation. So let's do payoff real quick, and heat. Or actually, let's do payoff, and then I would like, Sling, are you ready to tell us exactly what happened?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we're going to do payoff real quick. We'll do heat and everything else next week because there wasn't a lot of heat. There wasn't a lot of exposure for you guys in this particular case. Although Blue Coats being there does make it a little bit fun. And then we'll call it there. But I'm very curious to hear what Sling has to say for us. So you got a significant benefit out of this from you now have an HQ.
Mm-hmm.
You also, because of your crit, got something that is incredibly difficult to acquire, which is a writ for travel outside of the city with your rail car. So, given all of that, I'm inclined to say that from a coin perspective, this is a pretty small job. Because you guys got a significant amount of benefit. You now have a base established and you have something else that came out of it. So there's a lot of value in that. So from a coin perspective, it seems like a really small value you guys deserve. So I'm inclined to give you guys 2 or 4 coin, depending upon how you guys think that works out. The minimum is 2.
I would say 4, if only because while yes, we got the writ and we got the quarters, we also had a deal in place where now she's going to be paying us for spices and allowing us to transfer more goods inside.
So a successful negotiation actually went off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Also, don't forget about that when it comes to time for crew XP, because you just executed a successful negotiation for a new business deal, essentially, for smuggling. All right, excellent. So we'll call it 4 coin. In respect to rep, 2 rep to start. The Ministry of Preservation, I believe, I'm checking my particular sheet. I know in the book they're considered 4. They have been moving a little bit in the background. No, actually they are 5. So we're going to call it an additional 2 rep, for dealing with a
A higher.
Actually, two levels above us.
Yeah, it's 2 levels above us. And 2 levels above you, so that's 4 rep altogether. For that. So 4 rep, 4 coin, and then the benefits that you got. Okay, so we'll do heat and everything else next week, or sorry, in 2 weeks. Now we're going to cut to Sling, or actually, should I say Esther? Esther, how did you get the teeth, the Leviathan teeth, in Coleridge, and what did Ari see?
Well, I'm not sure how much Ari herself saw. It very much depends on when she joined the party. But the way it happened with Esther is it starts in a dark alleyway. Esther and a figure that could not quite be seen from anywhere that's not standing directly in front of them. There is an exchange of words, and there is a shaking of hands, and then they part and go their separate ways. This may be where Ari starts to follow Sling along her lovely travels, and sees as Sling gets her rifle, climbs to the top of a nearby building, and sits there and waits. And this happens for maybe 3 hours, where she sits and she waits and she scopes, and she never takes her eyes off of one certain spot. And then, almost like it was meant to be, a figure walks past and stops directly in that spot, stopped by somebody else who is talking to them. She lines up her shot and takes it. There is screaming, there are yells, the body drops to the ground, people run in all separate directions. The person speaking to the now deceased turns and walks away calmly. Sling packs her rifle, puts it back over her shoulder, and descends down from the building. She heads to a different alleyway, relatively close by, but still different, and approaches the same figure. The figure hands her a bag and asks how it went. And Esther turns to her and says, "Well, the job is done. It was painful, but then again, they do say the tooth hurts."
It's so serious.
Just one moment.
Oh my god.
She departs from the alleyway.
And because everyone is so stunned, she gets no heat. There.
And that's where we're gonna fucking end it. Because I can't. Please tell me somebody clipped that. That was amazing. Oh my god.
Please. Someone please.
Oh my god. All right. Wow. Okay. So let's do XP real quick and get out of here. Let's start with Joff. Let's start with Grin or Jinx. How are we doing today?
Let's do this quick. No desperate action. Did I address a challenge with violence? Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah.
At least
2 times. You tossed a guy in the lake and you killed someone.
Hey, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
I agree.
That's true. Beliefs, drives, heritage, background. We got a little bit of the background just thanks to that little notebook and the parchment.
Mm-hmm.
There's one there.
The idea that we needed to leave Kelms despite the fact that it's your your place.
Yeah, that's true. I'll take that. And then my vice did not come up at all. My trauma only came up because of the Devil's Bargain and Samandra, but I don't think that counts within.
You also had to make out with Ari. Does that count as trauma?
There's no trauma involved with that.
But there was struggling. Oh yeah.
So I think I got 4.
All right. Excellent. Good
Sweet.
job. Let us know. Go now. Blah, 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 blah. Let's go to Hocus.
We didn't do anything. We did ours last week, didn't we?
This is crew XP. I'm sorry. This is individual XP.
So this is about what we did last week.
No, this is
Because
about
Hocus didn't really do anything this week.
Did we not do XP last week? Did we end so quickly that we didn't do XP last
I
week?
could have sworn we did XP because I started to try to do it, and you're like, no. This is
We'll do it off screen.
we
or
might
something.
have said that. 'Cause
No,
it
you
was-
said we'll deal with it next week because you said this is this.
I'll just check real quick.
You check real quick. All right, but
Because
so
I
did
started
Hocus?
trying to do it, and you said no. That's not what we're doing right now. We're doing this other thing. We'll deal with XP.
I don't remember. I'm so
We
sorry.
did it
Okay,
right
guys.
before the end, and then we
all right.
did everything else. So we'll do the
So-
rest of the guys next week.
So we'll go to the I was talking about specifically what I remember about last week was that was specifically downtime actions. I thought we still did XP, but if we didn't, I will go back and review. I think Louise is reviewing right now, and will let us know. Okay,
Let's
so
go with the
what
people
about-
who actually did something this week. Do it.
Well, are you saying that you didn't take any XP at all this week?
I don't know. I'm saying I don't think Hocus did anything this week.
Okay.
It was all the other guys.
Okay, all right. I'm just asking, so that
I know.
means
I'm
0
just
XP.
saying.
All right. So that's 0 XP for you.
We did
We'll
XP last week. Sorry, just to interject. We did.
Okay, so Hocus didn't do anything this week. In his eyes, 0 XP. Okay, all right, cool. Let's jump over to Sky.
Okay. Notice for actions. Calculation for conspiracy 2. I
Okay.
can think. Yeah. Beliefs drives heritage or background. I mean, it was more of what Ari did for the reconciliation. Well, I guess that's Vice then, maybe. I can't think of any real beliefs that he kind of dealt with today. Other than, I mean, just the entire conversation with Lady Slane, and maybe just the willingness to lie and flirt to get what he wants. Just
Okay.
to do absolutely pretty much anything. But yeah, that's about it on that front. And then issues for my vice or trauma. I don't know if what Ari did counts or not in that regard.
I don't think it does. I mean, I'll leave it to the table to tell me otherwise, but I don't think it really does apply in this particular case. All right, so we're gonna call that what, 2 or 3?
I don't know. I was marking as I went. I think it was 3.
Okay, all right. All right, cool. Now let's go to the cool kids. Madam Gandalf. Ari did a lot this week in very subtle ways.
And not so subtle. So
That's true.
Dress challenge with deception or influence. I'd say I did that at least twice, I think.
The kissing sequence with Jinx and with Genevieve, who
assistant.
was absolutely adorable. What else were you going to say?
The assistant.
Yes.
And the
I mean,
assistant.
her assistant, not Jenna.
Okay.
But express beliefs, drives, heritage, or background. I think I did a bit of that with, getting the train thing. Also talking to Sky's sister.
Absolutely, you deserve 2 there. Both of those were amazing.
And coaching Sky, if nothing else.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And then didn't really struggle with issues from my vice or trauma though.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
I'd say that was 4.
Cool. 4 it is. And lastly, we have Esther. I mean Sling. I mean Esther. I mean Sling. I mean, who are
I
you?
mean both.
Essling.
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 Celeste.
Celeste.
All right.
That sounds quite cool, actually. Didn't roll desperate action. Tracking or violence. I mean, I tracked the build in place, and then I ended up violently killing somebody else instead. So 2, maybe.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Belief, strides, heritage, or background. I mean, I was really driven. I was very much driven to get the bullets and then to shoot a man.
All right.
That was, and I didn't really do much with my vice or any traumas.
Okay, so I've never done this before at any of the tables, but I want to award an additional XP to Sling.
Is it for the pun?
It's for the pun, because it was brilliant and completely unexpected.
Yes!
The build up to the pun.
You're setting a terrible precedent here, Johnny.
You're absolutely
Well,
right.
what are
but
you
it was
encouraging?
really, really good. It was so good.
I mean, I had props and everything. I had.
It was so
Anderson.
terrible. It was good. I think she deserves an XP specifically for that setup.
I can.
Just that role play with yourself was so good.
Yes,
So good.
absolutely. So that was another element of the interaction that you had going on there. I was expecting you to tell us what was going on. I didn't expect you to role play it, and so that was really good as well. So I just want to give you kudos there because that was pretty amazing. All right, let's do crew XP really quickly.
Okay. Successful smuggling require new clients or contraband. That's at least one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Contend with challenges above our current station. Yes. Right?
Ministry of Preservation. I would argue. Okay, I haven't actually figured out tier-wise what the Keel family is in representation, but noble families tend to be pretty high. I'm going to give you a second one because of how Jinx handled that situation and the information that he got.
Cool.
And the confirmation of Coachella sponsorship.
This is true.
There is that too.
All right. Bolster crew's reputation or develop a new one. That's 1, maybe 2.
Well, so what's your reputation is professionalism, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you definitely get 1. Because of the way that both Sky and Genevieve handled the conversation with Lady Slane. Where's the other one coming from?
I was thinking kind of 1 for like the deal that we made and another for the planning of Coachella. I don't know if that's
But how does that actually come into play in this episode?
fair.
Okay.
All right. What about this? Our resolution that we need to get out of Kellens because we're drawing too much negative attention to the place and it could hurt business.
Okay, sure. I agree. That's the second one for you guys.
That's another crew advancement, so we get to add another like couple pips and things. Everyone also remember to take 2 stash on your character sheet. But that's everything then.
Okay. There's what about belief strives or inner conflict and all that
Sorry, you're right. I missed that one entirely. I just don't want us to have more XP.
Okay, well, sure.
No.
All right, fine. That's
goals,
fine.
Goals drives inner conflict too, right?
Mhm.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, you guys really deserve it.
Okay, awesome.
All right, so that's more XP for you. All right, so with that, we'll hand it back over to Speedy.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you guys. This has been a really, really awesome episode. We got a lair, guys. We did it.
It only took us
proud
the
of us.
whole season.
There's only like 2 episodes left, and we finally got a lair, a place to live.
You make
That
it
isn't-
sound like we didn't have one before.
We were just staying. We were bar hopping before.
But we had one before that. I mean, all of season 1, more or less, we pretty much had one.
Suppose. Then we burned it to the
Listen, we
ground.
don't talk about Donovans, okay?
We don't talk about season 1.
Requiescum pace.
Remember that boat? Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, the boat.
Whatever happened to that boat?
Oh, it's still there. It's
Still
just
there.
a little lower than it was.
We should.
So,
I really guys think you should figure out how that boat blew up. That would be pretty
it
interesting.
didn't blow up. It just caught fire and sank.
I don't know. There was an explosion.
Oh, there was.
We still have not questioned that at all.
Nope, not at all.
It was like, that's fair.
We've been a little busy.
Oh, you know what? I just realized a great way for you guys they might be able to figure out. Maybe Esther knows.
What?
Would she?
She might have seen something.
Louise's
Or
face at that moment.
Anyways.
but that's. I just figured. Well, I just insert that, but we can talk about that later. Anyways,
You will be DMing me later, sir.
no, I will not. You need to go to sleep, young lady. You've got class in the morning.
No. Morning class morning. It's morning now. I have class in like 3 hours.
Just go to the pub and then go straight to class from there.
That's my plan.
That's always the plan. All right, let's go around to everyone and get your guys' thoughts on the episode, and also like who you are and where you can find you on the internet, all that stuff. Also in chat, everyone, tell us what you thought of the episode and what you really liked, and why flirting is hard. Okay, Trendane.
What?
Hi.
So this character,
Upside down and backwards.
no, just mirror your camera or something. It doesn't work if it's upside down, Trent. Anyway, so that's the game. Wittenlore. You will find if you look for Wittenlore on YouTube, and feel free to follow him on Twitter. You will find the Hunter's Prayer video in 4K, where you get to hear me talk really nice and deep and yeah, stuff. And hopefully someday soon I'll be able to tell you about the other stuff that I've got going on. But thus far today I have played Hocus, your whisper, who did nothing today, other than say, look, what did you do with the body? And we need to train. That's all he did. So yeah, I'm going to pass it off, as it were. Hurry, I have to blink.
Wow, well done. That was good.
To Madam Gandalf.
Hey, I'm Madam Gandalf, and holy moly, what an episode! What an episode! Ari's dipping her finger in many honeypots in this episode. It was quite glorious, and I don't know, it was just a lot of fun. It was a bit of we actually got to do silly actiony things, and it was a nice change of pace. We actually succeeded at something.
Wow, yeah, like, right.
And yeah, other than how excited I am about all that's going on, I am also Madam Gandalf, and you can catch me on Twitch under Madam Gandalf. And actually, on October 14th, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m., I will be doing a charity spookathon where I'll be playing spoopy games with jump scare alerts. You can also win prizes from places like Elgato and GameStop and things like that if you come on by and, yeah, help raise some money for One Up, the Cancer Research Foundation. And, yeah, that will be over on UGR Gaming. So I'm now going to pass it on to, yes, this way, over to the beautiful hair that is Joff.
Thank you so much. I'm Joff. Today I played Jinx Godoffer, who killed a guy, and that was cool, and was almost molested by Ari. It's not clear.
Well, truth be told, it's not clear that you killed the guy either.
No,
You're just fuzzy on the whole situation. It's okay.
I'm hoping that the guy's cohorts will take care of that body, because otherwise it's gross. Yeah, we got a base, and I'm really happy about that, because it has been a very long time. You can find me over on Twitter as Owlbare. That is bear as in, not as in. Oh, you guys. I have lots of stuff coming up in the next few weeks, and in short, that includes some spoopy D&D one-shots, Shady Acres, which is literally an island community of retired adventurers who get up to spoopy adventures. And we'll be playing that one-shot 4 times. I'm DMing it. Our good friend I Lived in a Cape will be DMing it. And hopefully after the one-shots, we'll be publishing to the DMs Guild, which is actually a big bloody deal to me. I've been wanting to do this for about a year or so. Also have an Extra Life charity stream on November 4th. And we'll be playing a couple of one-shots. We'll be raffling some items, auctioning some other items, and just having a jolly old good time for the kids. And that's me. Come find me on Twitter. Over to you, Lulu.
Hello, that is me. You can, I don't know, I'm doing that voice. Absolutely no need to. Hi, I'm Louise. I'll play Sling. Also Esther. Had an absolutely great time today. I got a point for making a pun, so I'm feeling really good about my life and about my choices. I'm having a good time. I really did fight tooth and nail for that.
Okay, look. From now on, anytime you're going to do that, you need to follow it up with, I've got a pun. And then do the thing. Or anytime you do that, we all need to go, yeah, as loud as we can.
If you want more great jokes and stellar sunglasses, you can find me on my Twitter at no more, no less. On my Twitch at AccidentalLegend. You can find my podcast at WonderQuest Podcast. I'm also on the D&D Twitch channel on Saturdays at, oh God, what time is it? Oh, it's at 11 GMT. That's the one I'm in. Time zones are hard. So convert that in your own time. If you go to the D&D channel, they've got the schedule there. You'll see it. It's a great time. But yeah, that's me. Back to you. I'm never going to find that again. That's quite
Johnny, tell us about yourself and everything and whatever.
Well, my name is Johnny. I am the GM for 6 and 20. I also run a channel where one of the 3 shows for 6 and 20 happens on Tuesday nights. 6 and 20 is a collaborative thing between Speedy, myself, and Unmade Gaming, where we do 3 shows during the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and they all take place in the same world. Before I say anything else, guys, tonight you guys did some amazing and unexpected things. Louise, Ari, Alex, you guys did amazing tonight. It was some pretty phenomenal stuff, and it's always exciting to play, and it's always exciting to just kind of sit back and watch whatever the hell you guys are going to do. And so with that, you can find my information in chat if you want to follow me. Thanks very much, Speedy, again, and I'll see some of you guys next week at TwitchCon.
Yeah, thank you so much, Johnny, for being the awesome GM that you are. As Johnny just said, next week is TwitchCon, so we will be off for a week, and then we'll be back for 2 more episodes after that before the season ends, and then season 3 will be happening sometime after that, assumably. But yeah, so we will be off then, but be sure to tune in the following week. Also, as a reminder, we do have our giveaway going on right now for fan art in Blades in the Dark. You can enter using hashtag 6and20art on Twitter. Make your favorite art, or write some fan fiction or music, like the music that Louise made that is currently playing in the background right now. And
there's also merch.
There's also merch. Yeah, you can find that here. There's a whole thing. There's a t-shirt. You can get on a mug for your PG tips. PG tips, by the way, first time being mentioned all episode. Very important. This show is not yet brought to you by PG tips.
We are fueled though by PG tips.
We did mention PG tips, but we weren't talking about the tea. We were talking about the characters.
The drug dealer.
Yeah, the character. Right. Who we also have a goat named after. Don't confuse them. He takes a lot of offense to that. Yeah, also Goatchella happening soon. I'm pretty sure that'll be in the finale of 6 and 20. We will be having Goatchella. If you want to have your name on this poster right here, get on that Goatchella lineup. All you have to do, sub to the channel. Subs are currently half off for the next 2 days. for only $2.50 a month, and or otherwise you can donate to the channel and also get your name on that list, and it's like super cool, and then that'll be there forever. Maybe we'll print out some posters for it or something, make some real merch, and yeah, get on that.
It'd be great to have another T-shirt, a Coachella T-shirt that has that on the back with all the bands that were on there.
Oh yeah, like almost like it's a real concert. People will see it and be like, "Yo, you went to Coachella?" some hipster will be like, "Oh man, I've always wanted to go to Coachella."
What do you mean? Almost like it's a real show? It is real. All of this is real.
This is real world. We're just reenacting what we already know to have happened in real life.
Exactly.
I love lightning barriers. Anyways,
they taste funny though.
This is this is in no way real life. You know how? Because I flirted with someone today.
Oh.
Get you drunk enough.
No, it's fine. I've got TwitchCon. I'll be going to that masquerade party with Awkward Kitty Inc. It's gonna be a whole time. So let's go ahead and end the stream off with a raid. Thank you guys all for being here. I'm gonna throw out a raid command for none other than Commander Human. He's like a really awesome guy. He does some D&D. He does a lot of role-playing stuff. You can usually find him playing Elite Dangerous and role-playing. You can also see him on at least a day a week playing some D&D. So I'm gonna go ahead and send him a raid.
Skill role-playing on Elite Dangerous. That's weird.
Yeah, so the link is in chat right there. Go ahead and copy paste that, and go ahead and show him some love. Thank you guys all for coming out here and watching. Super fun as always, and I will see you all next time. As always, don't forget to take it slow. Bye.